This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
It's often touted that modern Grand Prix racing started in France. And though they don't hold the distinction of the first 24-hour motor race, the 24 Hours of Le Mans has come to signify the highest echelon of endurance racing. Put simply, racing is essentially a part of French blood and heritage. Even though the track has changed significantly over close to a century of history having passed, it remains one of the greatest challenges a racing driver can ever face. Today, we present a smaller version with no less difficulty as we get ready to watch the Majors 2.4 Hours of Le Mans, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is Bill Soup Zahn. Next to him is Sean Crackers Ambrose, and behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, who is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, this was one of the most requested tracks on iRacing for a long time, and it's a real joy to have it on the service now.
Well, why was it requested so much by, you know why? Because it's really cool. And enjoyed getting a podium finish here a few years ago, Joe, with you as part of a team effort. Listen, this old beauty, really, there are better tracks on the iRacing service, maybe debatable, but the 33 turns on its full layout here, just over 8 miles, almost 8.5 miles, 13.63 kilometers. It's a bunch of private roads, race-specific sections of the track, in addition to a couple of public roads that run through it that remain accessible for most of the year. But what you've got to remember about this course is up to 85% of the lap time is spent basically laying full into that throttle, baby, meaning, well, it's tough on the cars. A lot of max speed here. The LMP1s will be over 200 miles an hour today. But this, again, just a real classic. The best way to take a look at it is on board for another GSRC lap around Le Mans.
All right, we've got Amjad Yaman of the GSRC 4 GT, so let's do a lap around Le Mans. Down the pit straight, you'll be picking up speed out of the relatively slow final chicane. Because of that, by the time you reach the Dunlop curve, even though it should be flat out, the fact that the racing line takes you off to the right means you'll need a little lift. Then you'll be braking hard for the Dunlop chicane. Those tall yellow curbs can badly damage the car, so try not to cut into the apexes too far. From there, you head under the Dunlop bridge and swing into the Chapel Rundown. Hug the car to the right side because you'll want a nice wide entry into the Forest S's. Watch out for the hump coming off the right-hander because you can lose the car by being too greedy on the power. Then you've got just a brief moment before you hit Tertre Rouge. This is one of the most important turns on the track because if you're slow off the corner, it'll hurt you all the way down the first bit of the Mulsanne. The chicanes break it up, of course, but this is still the fastest one of the three parts. Skipping ahead to the Forza chicane, picking your braking point will be tough but critical. Don't go outside of those cones to the left because you'll get an automatic slowdown penalty for abusing the track limits. Setting up a good exit would be wise because once again, we get dumped onto the Mulsanne. But this time, instead of staying to the left, you head to the right side since the Michelin chicane is the same but mirrored. And as you'd expect, you'd approach it the same. Sacrifice a bit mid-corner to ensure a nice clean launch. Finally, at the end of this notorious stretch of road is the Mulsanne corner. The kinked braking means it'll be tricky to get the car slowed up from such a high speed. And while the gravel on the outside can keep you from plowing into the tires, it also slows you down a ton, and that's really bad news since you've got another long straight ahead. Yet again, it ends with some devilishly tough braking at Indianapolis. Brake hard, get the car planted, and try your best not to let it swerve into the Armco. Quickly, you've got to bring it across the track to line up Barnage. This is one of the slowest and most frustrating turns on the circuit, but avoid understeering into the wall to the outside, which narrows up and makes for a dangerous exit. After a slightly shorter stretch, you come up to the Porsche curves. They start fast and tighten as you go. Bridge with that big blue wall can be especially precarious, yet require you to get pretty close to help carry your speed. Karting forces itself to be a compromise because you'd like to let the car track out, but it's best to stay tight to the right to open up the final left-hander. It'll be really bad too if you exit too wide, because this is another monitored spot that delivers slowdown penalties. Maison Blanche is a flat-out nothing chicane, and now you're coming up to the pits. Make sure to practice how late you can brake on the way in to ensure you don't get penalized for an unsafe pit entry during the race. But for now, we're slowing up for the Ford chicane. Try not to take too much of that red curb and then power your way out of there towards the line. Hopefully, if you've kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around the mall. They see how long of a lap it is around here, as we had to cut out significant portions just to get you through that in time. But Bill Zahn always gets us through the points in time, so let's jump to him and talk about how the championship is going.
We've got 4 of them to go through here as we hit round 7 of 14. Liam Quinn jumps onto the overlay for the first time. I like to call him Mr. Excitement, the Kinetic Americas driver, sitting down there in 4th. Well back, though. Look up on top. We've got ourselves a point race between Blake Reynolds and Matthew Thunhorst. Now, it's only 9 points difference when you consider that it's 1,693 is what Reynolds has. It's basically a dead heat right now. This is going to be interesting today to see how this plays out. Let's go ahead and look at the team championships now. Getting a real slow start the season was Riding Shotgun Motorsports. Up with the Outlaw Group. They climbed up, got all the way up to 2nd before dropping down back into 3rd. Kinetic Americas, we expected big things from them. I thought they were actually going to challenge maybe for the championship. They're still 409 back again with 6,300 being offered, so I guess they're still in the hunt. Alliance looks really good, though, as they sit on the top. Unorthodox hold station down there, and V-Apex got bumped off the top 5 last week. They are back. Good for them. Let's move down to the sportsman class. We don't always get to see these guys race. A lot of times they are down in the non-brass broadcast second split. Adam Lindgren continues to hold that spot, only 18 points up on Rod Powers. Now look at Rob as he jumps up, wasn't even on the overlay last time, jumps up well up there now, challenging for that. Everybody else basically holds station. Samuel Scott, Josh Cully, and Nick Kuhn all just get bumped down to spots as they go 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Finally, let's go to the Get Off My Lawn division here. This is the legends for guys who were alive when Neil Armstrong actually put his feet in the moon soil there. Bob Beltrami moves up a spot. It's the same top 5 you saw it last time, pushing Wayne Hutchinson down. Brian McGreevy, who I always thought was a young guy, he makes the overlay for the first time. I got to know Brian when I said that I foolishly called him Brian McGreedy, and he said his mom and dad watch, and I thought he was a youngster. Now I realize that that's not the case. Those are mom and dad watching the old-timer race out there. He sits in 5th position. Of course, Brian Bennett up on the top. Brian Barnes gets bumped off. Popsicle by not racing. Jimbo Pfeiffer in 2nd. Joe?
Thanks for that, Bill. And you can see the cars are warming up. Qualifying has already been set, so this is just drivers getting some laps in. That gives us a little time to familiarize our viewers with what this race entails. Sean, why don't you run down exactly what is going to be happening today?
Well, welcome to round 7 of 14, everybody. And, today we've got all 7 max cars here on the iRacing service. You can only have 7 in a race total. We've got 3 different classes for you. The LMP ones, which are the Audi, a diesel-powered LMP1, and the Porsche, the Honda HPD, the LMP2s, and the GTEs, the BMW, the Porsche, the Ferrari, and the Ford GTE, which in real life will be making its final appearance at Le Mans this year. They're pulling the Ford GT program from racing, and it'll be sad to see it go. Now we're doing this one for not 24 hours, but 2.4 hours today. That's 144 minutes on the clock, folks. And the setups, well, of course, they're open. They're wide open. You could do anything to these cars, and trust me, they've been doing it since we wrapped up at not Miami, at Indianapolis. So that's a Freudian slip there. But yeah, they've been working on these setups for weeks now. Lots of practice sessions, lots of time put in. Going to be a great race today, guys. Lance Nasir sitting on the GTE pole. Jake Feineman sitting on the LMP1 pole, and on the LMP2 pole, Justin Hess makes the pole with a believe it was a 3:29.178 to get in the LMP2s.
Just amazing how quickly they can get around here, riding on board with Feinerman right now, who runs his way down the very long Mulsanne Straight. Now, as always, we like to try and help people support the majors where they can because it is a big undertaking. So if you'd like to toss them a couple bucks, well, you can get some swag in the process. Go to their store at www.pacificmajors.com/store. Get yourself some gear and show off your pride in the not the Pacific Majors anymore, the Majors Racing Series. But that's not the only special thing they've been doing. They've been doing another thing this year by allowing members to nominate charity causes for each round. And drivers can buy extra qualifying attempts, and that money goes towards each round's cause. Now, Race 7's charity, is the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. People affected by MS can live their best lives as we stop MS in its tracks, restore what has been lost, and end MS forever. The majors raised $60 towards the charity this week. If you'd like to find out more or how you can get involved, check out their website at nationalmssociety.org. That's another wonderful cause that I think they've actually been involved with last year as well. I want to say that was the Knoxville race where they have that as their charity. As always, this race is brought to you on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure when you get the opportunity to go over to their YouTube page, click subscribe, and you'll get the rest of the majors all year long here on your YouTube feed. Taking a look out at the track and how the warm-up is going. Pretty warm temperatures, but not too warm here, Sean. It looks like 92 degrees track surface. I think the real issue is probably going to be the difference in various places because, last year we didn't have this this changing sort of surface temperature, the changing shadows and everything that we're going to have this year, where some parts of the track could wind up getting a little warmer than the other just due to the shadows changing, Sean. So as a former crew chief that's had to deal with this, I mean, what do you do with the car? Is there anything special, or is it just kind of have to be a compromise?
Well, it's a beautiful day in La Sarthe, and I don't know that it'll get much hotter. It may throughout the race, but I think 100 plus temperatures, maybe not in the cards today here, but we'll see. Now, what the shadows, the clouds will do to this track, well, honestly, Joe, what can you do to compensate for that? Maybe a little bit lower tire pressure. You can make those types of changes. You can fight the brake balance of the car as you go through the circuit. One of the things I learned today by watching the European majors was, especially in the GTEs, downforce settings can be a really, really big issue as well. A combination of the weather and not getting your downforce dialed in. And what do I mean by downforce? Well, I mean adjusting that rear wing on these cars to either create a little bit of drag and make that car stick a little bit more to the ground, or leaning it out to where it's basically flying at an unreal rate of speed. The sacrifice there is that these turns around this track, we talked about 33 of them, boy, your car really doesn't turn as well when you've got it all the way trimmed out, and maybe the track has gotten really hot a certain spot where it's been under sun for most of the race. You're going to have trouble. So again, you've got to be on top of your adjustments that you can make if you missed it on the setup. One of those being brake balance, the bias you set either towards the front or the back, your wing settings, things like that. Those types of changes that you can make from either a pit stop or from in the car, but you're going to have to be on top of those today, especially since iRacing gave us the weather and the transitioning tracks. All that is a factor now. And well, if you've got a crew chief on the box, hopefully he's keeping track of most of that for you, and you're focused and left to drive. So the ones with the crew chiefs around here, especially the well-informed ones, I think are the ones that are going to have the advantage today, Joe.
That'll be fascinating to watch. Bill, I want to touch on the championship real shortly before we go to the qualifying here. Or excuse me, the qualifying order here. You showed how Thunhorst had really caught Blake Reynolds, which I was a little surprised that Matthew has been doing so well. But then we have to remember that it seems like Blake has not had some of his best moments so far, especially if you look back at Indianapolis a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I had to go back to see exactly what was going on. I think, Joe, you nailed it. It's a little it's a little one from column A, one from column B. Reynolds has been just a touch off of his game. Thunderhorse has been really good. What you want to keep in mind today, now I'm going to get into the weeds here. I'm trying not to make this too confusing. Because there's 3 different classes, to make this fair, everybody you get, as qualifying is going to come up, they're going to give away 3 first-place points. If you finish first in your class, you get first place, first place, first place. If you finished second in your class, you're going to get 4th-place points. That way, fourth. That way it balances out equally, Joe.
And that was a nice system that they took a number of years to try and come to. So we've got the grid ready to go. So let's run down the order, starting with the LMP1s. Jake Feinerman starting on the pole with Brandon Guarcia starting in second. Eric Smith will be P3, and then Travis Warling starts on the outside of row 2. Steve Driscoll will be P5. Blake Reynolds, current championship leader, in 6. Michael Thompson starts 7th, and then Ross Banfield P8. Jason Fleischle back once again next to another familiar name here at GSRC, Richie Hearn, they're 9th and 10th. Daniel Johnson will be 11th, and then Brian McGreevy will be P12. Tyler Gilmette starts the unlucky 13th, and then Ray Partridge will be P14. Dale Green 15th, Kyle Murphy 16th, and David Hanger starts in 17th. Bill?
On the pole, it's for the LMP2s. It's Andrew Simmons. We'll get to learn about him. Scott Corbin is going to be outside of him. Little Train, Lionel Kalisto sits 3rd. Rutgers Kev is in the 4th in class there. Will Leslie and Mark Schindel make up the next row? Thomas Hintz and Jason Lundy. Good to see Jason from Puffin Racing back racing with us again. Andrew Oakey, always fun to watch. Dick Mueller is going to be next to him. Brian Bennett, there's your old timer. Gustavo Ciafarini in the 29th overall spot. The Salami, Bob Beltrami, is going to be next with Joseph Holman behind him. Ernie Ludwig and Double G, Gerard Gilbert is going to be back there. The last car in this class, Rob Powers. Sean?
All right, and we'll go to the mighty GTEs. Lance Desir, the Canadian, the pole sitter, in a number 409. Mark Torres will start 2nd. Trevor Clement with us tonight in the 111. He will start 3rd. Sam Adams in 4th. Another Canadian, Ian Gagnon Renaud, will start in that 5th there. Christian Eisler is joining us. The Iceman starting 6th. Matthew Thunhorse 7th. Miguel Alcrudo is starting 8th today. Wade Hayes 9th. Kevin Hill 10th. Vincent Leabier starting 11th. Liam Quinn 12th. 13th for Dan Garber. Brian Barnes in 14th. Brian Halleck going to start 15th. We'll try not to get that mixed up. Christopher Sherburne starting 16th. Wayne Hutchinson starting 17th today and in 18th. The final car in this field, 52 of them. Jeff Schmeier, the man for Georgia, starting at the back.
Airplanes.
Indeed, it is tradition here on iRacing that we have the Jets do a flyover just before they go to green. So there you can see them coming down the front stretch with the tricolor trailing behind in smoke.
That plane in the middle is drafting, wants better fuel mileage.
And that's good time because right now we've got our leader coming through the Ford chicane. In fact, I think they're going just now. They're getting the green flag. Jake Feiderman accelerating away. 2.4 hours of racing here at Le Mans, getting underway with the LMP1s looking almost all single file down the front stretch. They got strung out in those chicanes. Let's go to the LMP2s.
One of the trailers of the LMP1s, Brian McGreevy, had an off track. He's going to be well back. Andrew Simmons leads the way down into the first corner. Scott Corbin behind him. Lionel Kalisto. They know they got 2 hours and 24 minutes to race. Everybody taking their time. Sean?
Honestly, I think the GT started a little too close between the LMP2s. They are stacked up and now starting to spread out as they get to the Dunlop curve finally. Oh, we got one car off. It was Ian Gagnon Renault off and into the wall hard.
Didn't even get to take the start. Poor Ian, as he finds himself already in the wall on lap 1. So you can see the GTEs getting onto the Mulsanne out of Tertre Rouge, as actually our LMP1s, I believe, are already out of the Mulsanne, out of the Michelin chicane. Nope, they're heading up to the Michelin chicane right now, I believe. There's a 717 of Guardia running in second, trying to chase down Feinerman. We're used to seeing Brandon racing over in the Autobahn Sports Car Challenge. Right on Eric Smith right now, just over the nose of the third place car. That is now out of the Michelin chicane, heading down towards Mulsanne Corner.
Other than our incident early on, very well behaved as the LMP2s get through the Michelin chicane now as well.
Well, I wish I could say the GTEs were behaving there. Having a little bit of fun right now. Adams, Thunhorst, and Wade Hayes having a little party here on the Mulsanne Straight.
Yeah, this is up towards the front as Thunhorst is side by side coming into the Michelin chicane. That's Sam Adams next to him. Just behind them, Wade Hayes finds an opportunity to get into the mix. He out accelerates Adams off the chicane. He's going to get one spot. That moves him up to fifth. Let's see if he can get another. Train of cars streaming down as they pick up speed. Up to the inside. Here comes Hayes. Tricky.
First lap, guys.
Yeah, no
really.
kidding.
I guess after they ran the iRacing 24, this seems like a sprint race to these guys. And through the corner, wheel to wheel, nobody willing to give up. Looks like Thunhorst has the slight advantage down the straight, but again, it is going to kick off to the right, so it's going to be a slightly shorter line for Wade Hayes. Are we thinking 3 wide on the first lap into Indianapolis? Sam Adams thinks twice about it, thankfully. I was about to say, my goodness, these two still going at it. Finally, Thunhorst backs out of it in that very scary kink of Indianapolis. Takes a little hot down into the second part of the corner, and that catches out Adams, who's now under threat from El Crudo. Oh, and that is Hayes, I think. Wade Hayes loses the car coming off of Arnage and loses multiple positions. Oh, and now he's squeezing Liam Quinn, our winner from the Indy 500, off to the side. Eventually gives him space. You were right, Sean. This is ridiculous for a first lap.
I'm stunned that they're all running this just this close right now.
And I think we had some sort of problem with Jason Fleischle because he's taken to the pits. I'm going back to check and see if I can find what exactly happened to him. I wonder if he got a slowdown penalty and didn't serve it soon enough. It's been more than 15 seconds, so it's definitely not a slowdown penalty, I think. Meanwhile, let's go over to the LMP2's Bill. We've got a former champion up front.
Yeah, now, Andrew Simon got off to the lead, but when the opportunity presented itself, Little Train, Lionel Callisto, got to the lead, and he is pulling away. Simon right behind him, and O'Keefe. These three guys are really nose to tail. They've been putting on a good show. Over in the LMP1s, a couple drivers I want to talk about. Reynolds is up, last time I checked, 2 spots. He is now racing in 4th position. And I got to give a shout out to my booth mate, Richie Hearn. How about 4 positions just in a lap and a half? Now in 6th and a coming.
We kind of figured Hearn, who's good at those high downforce cars, is going to perform well here today.
It's a pretty looking car, too. They'll see him coming, won't they?
Absolutely. It's pretty much tradition for those Elite West cars to have those bright yellow colors. But I think he is having a little bit of connection problems once again. So he's disappeared for us.
Yeah, Sean and I noticed, though, he's okay for me. Sean and I noticed that maybe he has that internet gremlins behind him.
We'll see.
Okay.
We've already got Fleischle coming through the GTEs back here, guys, and he's coming through those battles we were just following a few minutes ago.
Pass up front and
that.
LMP2. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring you there. Simons is killing me here. Simmons is killing me.
Looking on screen at those GT cars, though, into the Michelin chicane. Still side by side. We saw this last lap and it worked out. Seemed to work this time, but they are certainly not shy of costing each other early. Down
Yeah.
Lewis on once more. Clement leads Nasir and Torres.
Much like we saw last weekend in the iRacing 24 Hours of Le Mans, the Ferraris have the upper hand early, Joe. All of the Ferraris right now occupy the top 7. The nearest BMW back in 8th, already 8 seconds off the pace.
As this battle happens, we'll check in real quick on what happened to Callisto, because seems to have lost the lead. It's because actually he's lost a lot. Where is he right now? He's down to 12th. What happened?
He had an off. It looks like it's Indy.
Oh, and he got the wall too. So not only does he have to deal with being set back in the field, but significant damage on the nose of the car.
Good news for him. Yeah, there's a spare car that you can have. The bad news for Callisto fans is he won't take it until later in the race.
Let's see what he can do with it. Unfortunately, he's put
Yeah.
himself under the gun and already... Oh,
Look at
no,
that.
he's coming in early.
Joe, he needed to. The front end on that car, pretty bad. The right front especially. I think he was just lucky to get it wheeled into the pits, to be honest.
Meanwhile, we look at the drivers who he was battling with earlier. This is O'Keefe, who's lost a little ground to Simmons. Mark Schindel now up behind him, about half a second back, trying to get up. Oh, and he's going to pull over and let him through. Cut course, maybe? Going to lose picture for a moment here. Not a bad time with him being on the Mulsanne stretch. Not a whole lot to see except cars just with their foot to the floor, heading down a straight line. I guess our drag racing fans are sad we're not watching this.
They want to know when that's being added to the service, by the way, drag racing. So it's
Yeah,
that's heavily
question gets
debated
asked a
over the
lot.
past week.
And no pass this time. Schindel's going to stay ahead of O'Keefe. I wonder if Kevin got a slowdown there. The fact that he just pulled aside like that was a little odd. He's very close behind now as we ride on the gearbox of Schindel. But he's going to just chill back here for a second, not interested in overtaking. Rutgers Kev, of course, very happy to be back. He unfortunately had tech issues with his wheel. Had to get a new one. And once one came in, he immediately rushed back onto the surface.
Hey,
Try to get some
guys.
racing.
We missed it, but Vincent Labiere had trouble back, I don't know, maybe about a minute ago, coming down to the Porsche curves. He lost it. The car got wicked. His BMW up on its roof. And we did find it. We got the replay. Here it is. It just bit, and it bit hard.
This is into karting, it looks like. So it's the latter end of the Porsche
my.
curves. Wow. A violent wreck for the BMW. Very lucky it wound up on the wheels. He was able to drive away.
Well, Joe, the team had enough time to get the car off the trailer, into the garage, back out on the pit lane, and, well, Vincent is in the second car.
Well, he now has no bullets left in the chamber, so he's got to try to keep it squeaky clean as we jump up to the number 51. This is Steve Driscoll running in fourth. And then now it looks like Guarcia has, actually, is this recent? Did he just recently overtake Feinerman? Trying to check to see, because I believe it was reversed not long ago. Of course, Feinerman qualified ahead of him. Looks like it was a while ago, so this has
It
been
does, yeah. I'm not
switched
seeing it,
around.
Joe. We've honestly had so much going on here early. I guess it kind of got away from us. Miguel Crudo and Sam Adams having a heck of a battle right now.
Yeah, 3 classes to keep track of, and we've only got one screen, so unfortunately something's got to take priority. Let's jump down to the GTEs while we're at it. Coming up through Arnage.
Yeah, Adams has just been driving really, really hard. him and Alcrudo, they went side by side through Indianapolis. Now they're nose to tail, but this is I don't know that this has been the friendliest of battles between these two over the last lap and a half or so.
If I'm not mistaken, isn't Alcrudo another one of the drivers that hops over from the Precision Racing League? I want to say that we've been seeing him on there.
Well, I was going to say we've got a lot of cross-league participation going in this race with Precision Racing League drivers, Autobahn drivers. Trying to see, well, Richie Hearn technically qualifies as a Lionheart Racing Series driver also. Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of crossover in this.
Oh, and Adams cut the course.
Yep.
That was a slowdown for sure. Got to be careful coming off the Porsche curves. That's one of the things I even put in. What was a big bobble off of the Ford chicane? That's one of the things I put in my notes, Sean, that I figured those cut course penalties could play a big feature in the race.
Yeah, and I told you how hard Sam was driving. I mean, he really been driving it hard, and that was a perfect example, just over driving it a little bit, missed his mark, and had to suffer the penalty for it.
This is Christian Eisler, the Iceman on screen, very used to driving this Ferrari at this point. Being chased by Mr. Excitement, Liam Quinn, down through the Forest S's. Adams has got the car underneath himself. You can see already starting to pull a gap on that Bushfink racing machine.
Fear the bird. Fear the bird.
It's only a matter of time before Bushfink cars started to invade here in the majors, right?
Only a matter of time.
Although he's going to be invaded by Liam Quinn because he's got a nice draft coming down the Mulson's first portion up to the Forza chicane. I think he may have lifted. The 24 has stalled out slightly and is no longer gaining. They go through that first chicane. Not much difference between the cars, although Quinn a little sloppy coming off the exit. Let's take a glance up at the lead for the LMP1s because Jake Feinerman has closed this down to within half a second, and it's been closer than that at certain moments. This is again for the overall lead, and this is looking awful tight, even though we're still early in the race. From the corner, Guardacia gets himself a nice little run, extends it up to 0.6 of a second. And they have gapped third place driver Eric Smith by over 3 seconds. So they are running a torrid pace as they get some of the first of the lap traffic. Really is stunning how quickly these LMP1 cars catch the GTEs. And I don't just mean in terms of lap time, but how fast the speed difference is in a straight line.
And Joe, listen, the sight lines on all of these cars really aren't great. The rear facing cameras are great and having that on your dashboard, but you still frequently get caught off guard by the speed at the closing rate of these LMP1s. They just seem, as a driver, they always seem to catch you in a worse spot, whether it be in Indianapolis, and then of course that's tight enough getting through there at full speed and having to turn the car. An LMP1 coming through, what do? You stay in your racing line, you get out of the way? Well, general thinking says the racing rules say that you should stay in your line and continue racing. But again, these LMP1s come up on you so quick, it can be a bit upsetting at times, a bit alarming.
We've had a change for the lead in the LMP2s. Kevin O'Keefe, Rutgers Kev, is up front. This is a phenomenal drive so far for Rutgers Kev. We've seen him also in Autobahn quite a bit and in this specific car. So as he's now up in front of the 416 and they hit the Forza chicane, how long can he stay up there?
Tell you what, when he made that pass, it was a close one. They almost came door to door, him and Schindel, but O'Keefe pulls it off. And yeah, I think we're glad to have him back and have those wheel problems that he was having behind him.
Sweet ride on board with Schindel. He's starting to gain. He's going to give a little bit of a lift and let him stay in front. Doesn't want to go too wide here through the Michelin chicane. That's Simmons behind them that we'll see once we go off board. He's riding in third, giving chase, hoping to keep touch with these two. I don't think have we ever seen Kevin O'Keefe get a win in the majors? I don't believe he has.
We have not. We have not. He is still seeking that first win, Joe. Maybe we should stop talking about it.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Just saying.
We don't want another YB.
Oh, because he'll definitely put it on us. You know that. He'll put that on us.
And we've had another pass for the LMP1s. Guarcia gets overtaken by Feinerman. The 619 now up in front. All the way on the other side of the track from what we were just watching down through the Forest S's.
And honestly, there's so many changes for position going on within the classes right now. It's kind of hard to keep track of them all. But I'm thinking it was a little bit of a pullover by Brandon Guarcia, to be honest with you. Brandon probably working with saving a little energy in that Porsche 919 and keeping maybe an extra lap run for him in store. Because, well, right now at 5.5 laps for the LMP1s, Joe, they're going to be coming up on a pit stop here pretty soon.
I'm glad you brought up the energy as well, because the hybrid systems on these LMP1s, I've really come to appreciate how complex they are by the differences that I've seen in drivers in these cars. And the competitiveness always seems to come down to who's sussed out how to use that battery. But in this case, I have a feeling, I mean, is that battery going to be able to save you a lot in terms of fuel?
It is actually, Joe, and if you're really good at it, you can get about 40 minutes out of a run in one of the LMP1s. Now, if you're not working it quite as well, say you're not making any adjustments at all, the difference that could be about 5 minutes. You could be looking at about only a 35-minute run. So that 5 minutes, if you start looking at the lap times of an LMP1, which is somewhere in the low 3 minutes, 3:17s, 3:20s, that 5 minutes can make a big difference over the period of only a 2.5-hour race as opposed to a 24 one. It can be even compounded more so because of the pace we're seeing. This sprint race format, oh no.
Miguel Alcrudo.
Oh, in trouble getting back on. Ouch.
This is over in Arnage. He started on his own. It didn't end that way, unfortunately. Lost it on entry.
Hard on the brakes. He might have been fighting the brake bias there.
Yeah, he tried to re-enter. That was Sam Adams, interestingly, who clipped him. Not sure how much. We'll see it here. This is a great angle. Just didn't expect him to be coming back on the track. Even tried to give him room. And Alcrudo hits the wall. So as we come back live, the traffic now starting to get a bit thicker for our LMP1s. We got a great battle with Richie Hearn and Ross Banfield. This is for 7th place. They've swapped back and forth a couple times as they're trying to weave back and forth through the Porsche curves and the other GT cars. Now, Banfield does not have a wing, but I think he's got one on my screen.
Yeah, he's got one on mine too, Joe. I think we might be having a little, what they call a visual bug here in the iRacing service. So that's okay. Yeah, Ross still looks plenty fast here. Hearn right up the wing, though, right now.
He could use the traffic to his advantage. See, Ross just really got it trimmed out, that's all.
Right?
He's going for straight line speed. So we're on their way past Kevin Hill. Going to get to the Mulsanne pretty soon, so that should be some relief with a straight line up ahead of them. That is Travis Whirling as well, getting held up a little bit by Dan Garber. That gives a bit of a whiff of hope for Banfield, but he gets held up coming through Tertre Rouge, and now they hit the straightaway, and all of them string out once more.
Joe, I heard a certain driver today, every time he went through Tertre Rouge, say, please no slow down, please no slow down, please no slow down. If he's watching, he knows who he is.
I mean, that sounds like my experience through there, honestly. Meanwhile, Driscoll's got some pace underneath him. Looks like
certainly does. Got to run.
He's got past Smith, and he's caught Guarcia. So now he is in the fight for the overall lead. The number 51 joins the fray. We ride on board with the unorthodox driver.
Might have been saving some energy towards the end of this run. Now he's turned up the wick, Joe. He's got some partners to maybe come and pit in with.
And these are all three Porsches up at the front. Our first Audi is in fourth, Eric Smith, who's fallen back. Pass for the lead potentially here. Find him into the outside. And, Guarcia to the outside as Feineman gives it up.
You know, kind of cool to see a noted GTE driver wheeling that LMP1 around here in Brandon Guarcia. I'm still having to come to grips here with this, that he's driving an LMP1.
Well, before they switched over to this season, remember Brandon was racing the LMP1s last season at Autobahn, so this doesn't surprise me too much.
That's true.
He continues to lead on the way into the Porsche curves. We are on lap 7 currently for these cars. How many laps did you say was the stint, Sean?
Well, I got it dialed in a little bit more to minutes here at Le Mans, about 40 minutes in the LMP1. So, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe that should be about, let me do some quick math here. Probably about 14 to 15 laps. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because we've just done 24 minutes, so.
Yeah, and they're right now lap 7 for them. So
just now becoming lap 8.
About halfway through the run here at this point, maybe a little bit more than halfway actually.
So we follow some action between Eisler and Adams. Eisler's recently taken this spot. This puts him up to 4th. Or no, Eisler's now up onto the podium even.
Yeah, he kept working on Adams, and he finally was able to get a pass done on him. Now he's actually put a little bit of a gap on him, about a half a second.
I wonder if Adams is dealing with a little bit of damage. Remember, he made that contact with Al Crudo.
He did, Joe, and he's got a little bit of it on the right rear. And I do wonder if that's maybe affecting his aero or even just the ability to get that car to turn a little bit. But he's still close enough here. The Mulsanne straight should sort this out unless that is truly some major aero damage. It doesn't look like much, but you don't always know until you're actually in the car.
If it's the right rear, that wouldn't be the contact with Al Crudo because he hit him on the left side.
No,
so
I said right rear.
Something else.
No, I meant left. I'm sorry. My left and right all mixed up.
Easy to get that confused sometimes.
It depends on what angle you're looking at the car from.
This is
right?
true. I'm always, whenever I'm watching on TV and commentators talk about the left rear, and I'm like, no, that's the right rear. And then I realize, no, they're talking about the driver's perspective. So I feel you. Meanwhile, as we watch the car of Mark Torres try to chase down Clement.
Everybody's probably wondering.
Whoa, and what happened there?
Big trouble there for that LMP1. That was trying to pick up who that is right now. I'll get it for you. He's still crabbing on the Mulsanne. Look at that car, just a mess. Is that
Johnson?
Daniel
Johnson.
The 474.
There's Soup.
I've been listening to the broadcast. You guys have been doing great. It's like you didn't even miss me.
Well, I heard
Johnson got. Yeah. Oh,
Go
it
ahead.
was awful here. He got his right side on the grass. Watch this. There's a little grass outcrop here.
It is a street course in this portion.
Yeah.
So.
On the right-hand side of the track. Right there.
Oh, he hit that little patch of grass that sticks out. I see that, Soup. Oh,
That's
how
all it took. That one little flash. That is wild. And as that just happened, Tyler Gilmette had a problem in Mulsanne Corner. He's down in 12th in the LMP1s. I think he caught the inside wall when he spun it. trying to overtake a GT car.
Boy, he hit it hard.
Dunk.
That's a tough break for the Audis. They could definitely use some help out here. I did say earlier that car's a tank, though. Maybe he got away with one. Hopefully it didn't hurt the car too much.
Well, he certainly didn't hurt it as bad as Daniel Johnson, who continues to limp, because it looks like Gilmet is still going on in 12th without too much of a pace disadvantage. Glad to have you back in here, Bill. We've been enjoying some action out there, including here in the LMP1s, what we've switched up to. It looks like Simmons is now overtaken from O'Keefe.
Takes a long time to do a reboot here in France, let me tell you. A lot of information going on. Yeah, you know what I like is what Driscoll is doing. He's really got good pace behind in the LMP1s. Racing in third, he's ran down Feinerman and Garcia. I'm surprised Blake Reynolds, he didn't have a great qualifying, and usually I'm going to be good when it comes to racing, but he's having a hard time. He's back in fifth and making no ground up.
And this certainly isn't like the oval race we saw last time, where you just kind of want to wait things out and let the race come to you. There's no caution flags to catch up. You have got to win this thing on pure pace.
Pass for the lead, I think, as Feinerman makes the move on Garcia.
Yeah, Jake and Brandon have been swapping back and forth a couple times. I think this is a little bit of a friendly battle. They don't seem to be too fussed about blocking each other off and defending position. They work their way up to the Mulsanne corner. I think we might. Well, I thought we were going to have a pass for the LMP2 lead, but O'Keefe decided not to do it.
He says he's back there just pestering Simmons.
Oof. I'm a little bit worried about Daniel Johnson, though. He is limping not only very slow, but he's now hit the Porsche curves. It's a lot harder to hide and stay out of people's way. He's waiting for some gaps. Looks like he's got one there. I almost think at this point Daniel probably should have just taken the toe. He's losing a lot of time. Very good heads up from the 474. He's mostly managed to keep out of everybody's way without causing any issues. And he's just about home free to get that spare car. That is a trooper. Meanwhile, back up to the leaders in LMP1. They're coming up behind him. It is still Feinerman leading, Guarcia leading Driscoll, all in a line separated by, it looks like, I want to say about half a second between all three of them almost. Here goes Driscoll. Ooh.
I know you said that Feinerman and Garcia have been playing together. I don't know if they invited Driscoll to the party. He's up here. Right. Oh, he has a bad. Goes over the curb there. He's going to lose a lot of time.
Yeah, those curbs are interesting around here, Sean. It seems like some you can take and some you can't.
Yeah, okay. Practice. That's the only way you figure that out, Joe. You got to. Oh, Blake Reynolds has had a problem.
Hang on. The Ford chicane.
Oh. But pretty. I swear, even when he makes a mistake, it's pretty. Look at this.
Maybe just to avoid the wall. Here we are on the replay watching from above. I think this is very similar to what we saw a moment ago, just a little too much curb. It's in the second half here.
Yeah. Okay, so that inside curb, that curb on the inside, that very last one there before you straighten out the car, go to the start-finish line, that one is deadly. You don't want to pop that one. You watch the GTEs do it, it looks like a ballet. The LMP ones, no. It's more, that's more like a metal show. Watching an LMP1 get over those pubs.
So that slots him down to 7th place, unfortunately.
That's Richie Hearn right behind him.
And we've had a change for position in the front of the LMP1s. Guarcia seems to have had a problem out of the first chicane on the Mulsanne. Driscoll now moves his way up into second. and is spying first as they hit traffic. It's Ernie Ludwig that they're going by in the LMP2s. And I think Driscoll's going to have this one. Look at this. From 5th on the grid, the unorthodox driver is on a tear. New leader, 3 different leaders so far at the front of the LMP1s. Let's go to the LMP2s where we got a battle for the lead down there.
Well, Joe, it's back and forth between Simmons and O'Keefe. O'Keefe, just about half a lap ago, works out another pass around him to take the lead back. But I'll tell you what, welcome back, Kevin O'Keefe. You've got your hands full, buddy. Andrew Simmons is giving you nothing here. And right now he's at command. The LMP2s, they'll be coming up against a pit stop as well, Joe. Their time, not so much different than the LMP1s. They go maybe have an extra lap or two. So really, they're in that window here within about the next 10 minutes. Honestly, the LMP1s are in their window now. I would expect the next 1 or 2 laps, they'll be coming in for a stop here.
Love this nose cam riding on board Simmons. Let's stay with this, but I can tell you that Feinerman did get back by Driscoll on the next straightaway. It was another draft pass down into the the Dunlop chicane, rather. Andrew Simmons not going to let that blue and white warm-up lap car get away.
Wow. Driscoll just got around Feinerman again, and now we're going to go down to P4 in the GTEs.
Yeah,
It's between Quinn and Quinn and Adams.
Yeah, Eisler's actually kind of checked out on them, Joe. He's 2 3/4 second up the track now.
Quinn up 8 spots.
I mean, I'm not too shocked at that, if I'm honest, Bill.
Yeah, we're talking about a guy who's won here in the major series before, and right now probably playing strategy more than anything. I think we'll see him fighting for the lead here at some point.
Oof, locked him up a little bit into the Mulsanne corner. Sam Adams rocks right up underneath the rear wing of that Ferrari, gets the tow, but not interested in going by him. He's just going to hang out back here and stay in that 5th position. The only thing that I feel like should be different, Bill, is I would feel like for Quinn, the HPD would be most similar to the Indy car, and instead he chose the GTE.
Yeah, that's what surprises me. I've covered him a million times in the Absolute Beginner League where they race the underpower cars. They've moved it up a little bit, but he's a mid-packer in a Skippy. He's just a non-factor. Put him in something that has some umph in it. Man, he's something else. Yeah, I would have expected him to be in the HPDs as well.
Not even close to halfway through this race yet. Still much to go. If you're just joining us, this is the Majors 2.4 Hours of Le Mans. Your current leaders in each class are Jake Feinerman in the LMP1s, Kevin O'Keefe in the LMP2s, and Trevor Clement in the GTEs. Mark Torres certainly giving the 111 of Trevor something to think about, though. There you see him in the blue Ferrari just behind. And I thought for a second we were going to get a pit stop from Trevor. Just swinging wide for the entry into the Ford chicane.
Maybe because I do points, I'm always thinking big picture, but when I think about our points leader, Reynolds is sitting 7th. He's going to get 7th place points. Thunhorst is in 6th. So if the race were to end, actually Thunhorst is, he's in 6th. If the race were to end now, which it never does, I think we'd have a new points leader.
That's true, because the jump from one position to the next is a lot larger in this multi-class race. You see Thunhorst on screen.
Well, it's the difference between 18th and 21st.
Kind of curious how we're doing on the team stuff as well. The Alliance livery on that car made me remember what's going on there. Unorthodox certainly seems to be doing well in the LMP1s as we jump up to those leaders.
you mentioned Alliance. Would it be wrong to admit what T-shirt I'm wearing?
Oh,
during the broadcast?
Driscoll
And there's an
makes
LP1 peeling off. Yep. Here we go.
That is Steve Driscoll coming
Gonna
in,
bring
and he's
Garcia
joined
with him.
by Garcia. And thankfully clean into the pits. Boy, that's another, well, Sean, I've discovered the dangers of entering the pits here, embarrassingly.
As a crew chief, you certainly don't want to make a last-minute decision to tell someone to pull into the pits because it can be a bit deadly. You could wreck the car up. Not only that, you get penalized on that entry, and that costs you 15 seconds in the box. There's Richie Hearn bringing his car in. Is that Richie? Yeah, that's Richie coming in.
Yeah. Driscoll, Smith, Warling, Hearn, all in from the LMP1 class.
Yeah, right at 11 laps and just about we started. Yeah, no, just right at about 40, just over 40 minutes.
Thompson pitting, Kyle Murphy's coming in, Ray Partridge. Very few drivers able to continue. Feinerman, Banfield, and Reynolds so far, the only three. A lot of traffic, though, now that they've stayed out.
Boy, that's close for Feinerman.
We've seen that exact move go south very quickly. So it's not as chaotic as we saw yesterday at Tsukuba, where we had much slower cars, all the much more compact space. But it is still an endurance multi-class race, Sean. So that element of survival, I still think, a part of winning here.
Oh yeah, I think whether it's 2.4 or 24, it really is survival. On the multi-class level, I mean, single class, it's a totally different ball game. We were talking about the closing rate of the LMP1 earlier, and honestly, the LMP2, again, a much faster machine than the GTEs. So you've got three classes, all varying speeds. Anything can happen, will happen. This is not an easy course, despite the fact I said in the intro that you're on full throttle 85% of the time. It's the scariest 85% full throttle you'll experience on any track here as an iRacing member. And Richie's did Richie have a problem?
Well, I know he's in a little bit of a fight after his pit stop. Oh, he spun it in the Forza chicane. He didn't hit anything.
Gilmet. Yep.
Gilmet has not pitted, so he will get that position back, but that is time lost for the number 70. We were going to watch it from above. There's the overtake on Gilmet.
Yeah, I think the car over-rotated on him a little bit there much, Joe. And Richie's probably kicking himself right now on that.
From what we know of Richie, yeah, I expect he's unhappy with himself.
If we can look at Driscoll real quick in fourth position in the LMP1s, he was racing up front when he took his pit stop. He's really done well as he's got about almost 3 seconds, well, 2.5 seconds on Garcia now.
So clearly a much better pit stop than
Feinerman
those around him. And these pit stops look very, very quick in the LMP1. So the tiniest of margins are going to be so important.
And Feinerman just coming in. He's actually coming in as our first GTE. Maybe a bit of an early stop. Sam Adams is rolling out. Now, Adams had that damage that he was fighting on the left rear of the car. It's been repaired. So I wonder if that pit stop for Adams was more a situation of, you know what, the car was just a little bit too far off. I need to bring it in. Boy, he came out in the traffic, too. Look at that. That was O'Keefe getting by? No, that was Cianfrani getting by as Adams got back out on track.
A little earlier, we did see O'Keefe continue a great battle as Adams goes off in the Ford chicane. Or excuse me, the Forest S's rather. Oh, and Feinerman is out, and
Driscoll
behind, and Garcia. In fact, Feinerman, of all three of them, comes out by far the worst.
Boy, and Feinerman really struggling getting back going, Joe, as he got into Dunlop. We're clattering over the curbs, the car just really out of shape.
Driscoll only took 22 seconds in his box. Garcia 26, Feinerman 28.
Wonder if Driscoll did not take tires on that. Kind of curious who's double stinting them and who is not. If that's a viable strategy at all. So that your order after the pit stops the first sequence of pit stops for the LMP1s has completed is Driscoll leading, Guarcia second place, second and a half back, Feinerman 6 seconds back. Oh no, Driscoll! What just happened there? That was Brian McGreevy, who I believe was a lapped car, was he not? But I think a teammate. Greavy came out the worst of it.
Wow.
I'm not sure what exactly happened there.
It wasn't good.
Oh, we could see from there that Driscoll caught a bump. That sent his car flying in his teammate. Good job for everybody else missing McGreevy in that, because they were certainly coming onto him very, very fast.
Well, we were curious if he had taken tires. He didn't. You saw him hit the bump there from the roadkill cam. That tires had nothing to do with that right there. That was just the car just getting totally upset.
And he rubbed along the Armco for a long, long time. So this changes the face of things. Guarcia now inherits the lead. Feinerman, who has regained some of the ground that he lost. It's about 4.5 seconds up to the leader. And then third now goes to Eric Smith in those LMP1 cars.
Only a second and a half back.
Simmons pits from the lead in the LMP2s. That gives Kevin O'Keefe the lead. Those two on a slightly different strategy, it looks like. And
Starting to see more GTs come in. Wade Hayes, Miguel Alcrudo in. Hayes hitting his box right now. Got that number 3 stall.
So as we watch one of the Kinetic drivers in his Porsche take his scheduled service, jump back up to our leader, Mark Torres, down in the GTE class. He's got a 2.5 lead over Trevor Clement.
Another Kinetic driver.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. These Kinetic drivers, could they have a good haul coming home today? They're usually in a top fight with Alliance. So far, Clement being Alliance driver, they've got points over them in that situation.
Yeah, and trust me, the Kinetic guys have been making adjustments all weekend, from the international race to the Euro race to this one. I would think they have their sets dialed in at this point and have learned from mistakes. We know the Kinetic team, one of the hardest working ones out there, Joe. They share information, they work together on this, and they put a lot of time practicing on track.
Well, not only the setups, but I would imagine strategy by now has got to be nailed down for them, because they've had a chance to try just about anything you could think of with 2 previous attempts.
Now, coming up behind these guys is Kevin O'Keefe here in the LMP1 leaders. He just got around Matthew Thunhorst.
And Quinn up next. It's caught up slightly through the Mulsanne corner, and now coming up the run towards Indianapolis makes easy pickings out of Quinn, whose slower GT car just staying out of the way. 1.5 left to go. More problems for Reynolds. Oh my goodness, and Reynolds is on his lid. This is in the Forza chicane. Well, it almost looked like the car just would not stop. Is this a hardware failure?
Well, I saw him clatter to the curb. That's the only part of it I heard. But no, he went in full speed. Now, something happened there. That was not as planned. Boy, that's odd.
Maybe pedals failed on him. That's just...
I don't want to sit here and say that looked like a lack of focus. That just didn't look. It looks strange, right?
Abnormal. Yeah.
Yeah, abnormal. Right. That's the one you want to choose. Exactly.
Oh boy. Our current champion, unfortunately, had to take a tow with him not winding up on his wheels.
Wow.
So he could get back out there, but it is going to be damage limitation today for Reynolds.
Yeah, and of course he's waiting on the tow. He's there. He's in the box, but that's going to be. Oh, it's going to be a couple minutes from there. 2.5 minutes probably.
We're hearing from the chat that it was intentional, maybe?
Yeah. Okay.
That really surprises me. Because he's already had to drop one of the road races, has he not? I have to go back and check my stats.
Well, I don't think they've started calculating drops yet, but we'll see. This is good news for Matthew Thunhorst, though, as he's going to get a good chance to score some points.
Well, keep in mind they only get one drop per type
event,
of
right,
racing, though.
type of, yeah.
And that's why I'm saying if he's dropped a road event already, yeah, then that's not good. So this is O'Keefe that you see in pit lane. A lot of the other drivers are still going. Schindel stays out. Corbin stays out. Leslie.
So now we're seeing the LMP2s are good for about 1 to 2 more laps than the LMP1s. And the GTs are all really in about the same time frame. I mean, Quinn is just now coming in. So is Jeff
Simmons. Simmons is in it. And again, sorry to interrupt, but Simmons comes in immediately. Did he maybe get a penalty for speeding on his way out? We'll find out soon enough, I guess. But this is highly unusual. He was in the very previous lap. Comes to his pit stall. If he's in for 15 seconds, that is absolutely a 5 seconds. I don't think he can make 90 minutes. This is a 30. This is a thirsty track. I'm stumped on this one.
I'm trying to figure it out. I can't seem to find any rationale for it at the moment. I just don't think that you can make it to the end if that was a splash and dash, which I don't think that was.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would be 5 seconds. Wouldn't really get you there because, well, no, I guess they can go longer than an hour typically. I'm just so used to Autobahn in these cars. Maybe it's tight on being able to make a one-stop strategy. So this is we'll have to do some research to figure out what exactly is going on. Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to remember Callisto. Now, see, Callisto's been in once already, but that
that was for repairs.
That was for repair, right? He's in his spare car. It was a quick stop, but he's up against the window of having to come in again.
I found it coming right out of pit lane. He made contact right out of the pit lane the first time he punted Brian Hollock. He had damage.
Okay.
Out of his first pit stop.
Right. So now he's only got about a couple laps left, and he's going to have to come in. So he's obviously off pace from everybody else now. But,
so he came in for a new nose. I thought I saw the nose blink away when I was watching the feed.
I was just trying to find some sort of a rational answer for what happened to Simmons there.
Yeah, that was Simmons. Yeah, that's what it was. He had the contact coming out of pit lane.
Okay. I'm sorry. My misunderstanding. Okay. We've got that straight now, don't we, Joe?
Yeah.
Yes. And by the way, this actually puts Kevin O'Keefe in an even better position to take away the victory because Simmons was the only one keeping pace with him. This is one of the teammates there on Kinetic coming in.
Is that Scott Corbin? Yeah, Scott Corbin coming in there. Schindel just pulled in ahead of him. Corbin's going to pull in.
And Will Leslie, did he run out of fuel?
Uh-oh. Yep. Ooh. Cluck.
Not a track where you want to run out of fuel on.
Long
At
pit
least
lane.
he's relatively close. Yeah, long pit lane, long lap.
Car's got an awful lot of momentum. I think he's going to make it down the pit lane, but boy, not optimal. Look at that. Position's going by.
Everybody else coming through means O'Keefe will now re-inherit the lead. Now, you might notice that it is a small gap between himself and Kalisto, but as we said, Kalisto on an alternate strategy, so probably not in the fight for the victory. We'll get a clear picture as things go by. Still waiting on a number of our GTE drivers to come in for their stops. Highest running pitter there is Liam Quinn, and he is in 7th position.
I would not be shocked if we see Mark Torres pull in here.
We're going to see a change for the lead on screen, even though we're not sure that this is really going to be for the lead, but Little Train back up to the front. Kalisto manages to get by the 629.
Well, to put a positive spin on it, I mean, if the pit stop strategy works out where he was in his window when he had to take that first stop, which was awfully early, then it'll be okay.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out if that's the case, though.
Yeah.
He's pulling away very fast from O'Keefe, though. Must be that lighter fuel. A lot of traffic has separated significantly. Thought we were going to have a battle for 3rd position in the LMP1s as Eric Smith and Travis Worling are relatively close. But I'm not totally sure that the 90 has got something for Smith. They work their way through Arnage. They just put another lap on Mark Torres, the GTE car. They've got about 10 seconds over Richie Hearn, which might not sound significant, but remember, Richie had a little bit of a spin earlier, and that's costs usually about 10 seconds to get the car going once again. So Richie could be in a fight for the podium here.
Yeah,
could
his
have
pace
been in a fight for the podium.
Well, I mean, his pace is still good, so that's great. Obviously, the car not in bad shape. He keeps the pace he's in. He could be fighting for the podium, Joe. This is racing, man. Anything can happen. So we'll see.
This is true, especially at a track like this with 3 different classes out there. There could still be chaos that comes into play. And we had a car pitting in, looks like Clement and Eisler and Thunhorst.
Yep. Now, Torres decided to stay out an extra lap. So Torres, I'm wondering if maybe he looked or had his spotter tell him what might have been ahead, maybe the lack of any cars. He decides to stay out for a burner possibly here.
Everybody into their stalls. They've got a big gap to the cars behind, which includes Kevin Hill and Dan Garber. I was curious to see if anybody else elects to come in. Hill is going to come in, it looks like. So this might be towards the end of what's feasible.
Listo making a stop.
Boy, quick stop for Thunhorst. In and out.
So where is that going to put him?
Going to cycle out to second?
Second, yeah, because everybody else seems to be pitting at this point. And they had such a gap to most of the cars behind that nobody was really in an opportunity to overtake. Torres, the only one staying out, seems to be on something, a little bit of fuel-saving mode. Another one of those Kinetic Americas drivers.
Oh, no, I realized what happened with Thunhorst. He missed his stall. There was no stop.
Oh, that is critical.
Now, did Torres just have a problem also? Because I went to him and I'm seeing damage of the car. I'm going back to look. I think it might have been. I think it might have been connection related. I'm sorry, my bad. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
so Torres is fine. He's continuing to lead.
Dunhorst isn't though. He's got trouble, man. He's got to come in for a full stop still.
So, yeah, Thunhorst is certainly, unfortunately, now losing tons of time because of that run through the pit lane.
Well, has he not stopped? Is this his first stop, Sean?
No, he missed the stall.
Right.
He drove right past it.
So
he's got to come back in.
Well, the problem is he's got to go all the way around again. So if he cut it close,
and he may not make it.
Yeah.
And he may not make it exactly.
We're watching Torres work his way towards the pits now. We'll step away from him once he comes in. Our current leader is the longest running of the GTE cars.
Dunhorst is soft shoeing it, guys. He's not got this car wide open.
Torres now into the Porsche curves as we take a glance at Thunhorst. Well, he probably knows where his pit stall is this time. I'm guessing it's not towards the front.
Yeah, he might need to land it cold stick though, because he might have to glide it in.
He's shifting up through the gears really, really quick, getting into that higher gear just as quick as he can to just try and reduce the fuel burn here.
Well, on screen you can see Torres able to stretch that fuel out all the way to his pit stop and end. Matthew Thunhorst, is he in the Porsche curves? Yeah, he's made it to the Porsche curves, so this is a good sign for him. I know we said we'd go, but let's just wait a minute to see if Matthew can get in there.
He is barely on the throttle right now. He's just lifting right through.
This will be your points leader, I think, if you can get a decent day here with Reynolds having trouble.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world yet, because Reynolds is fully out of the race.
Yeah.
He's disconnected, and I think he managed to get there. Nicely done by Matthew Thunhorst. Crisis averted for the Alliance driver. Now we're going to step away for just a moment. We'll come back with the final half of the 2019 2.4 Hours of Le Mans in the majors. Don't go away. Welcome back to Le Mans, France. We're again watching the 2.4 hours of Le Mans, the major's 7th round of the season. Brandon Guarcia is your leader in the LMP1s. Kevin O'Keefe is your leader in the LMP2s. And Mark Torres leads in the GTEs. Had a little bit of action while we were away. I can say that Trevor Clement had a spin. He gave up second place. Christian Eisler inherited that. And then I believe we're watching a replay. You caught this one, Bill. This is Schindel.
No, I don't think we have anything here. My director must have misunderstood me. Schindel having a good race, though. He is still sitting in 3rd position.
Interesting to note, though, a driver that I am not as familiar with, a number 48 is in 2nd. Thomas, I don't know if this is Hins or Hines, but the Australian driver is doing very well in 2nd.
Schindel is about to get him, though. I think I did a little crystal ball commentating here.
You can see on screen now that we're back live that as they come into Indianapolis, the 48 is under pressure. Must be a little middle of the afternoon, I think we figured out for these middle of the afternoon on Monday for these Australian drivers in the majors.
It's either 11 in the morning or noon, depending on which side of Australia he's on.
Oh no, Eric Smith. Remember, he was fighting for a podium. He's had issues with traffic, and it was Dan Garber in the GTEs out of the Forest S's. But this one, it looks like, was on Smith.
Yeah. Oh, poor Gerber.
Yeah.
Let's just mind his own business, Sean.
Yeah, and Smith was getting around, went wide. Garber kept it tracked down on the inside, but oh man, he got out in the grass there. It was deadly. You'll watch this here. You're going to see him move over, track down to the inside, and it just a little bit too wide. Clips the grass, comes back across, collects poor Dan Garber. Just like you said, Sue, minding his own business.
What's my Richie Hearn gonna vulture a spot, moving up to 4th now.
And Warling up into P3.
You remember I said Richie Hearn could be battling for a podium spot at some point, boys?
Yeah.
Okay. He's been good. He's been really good today, and I don't.
I'm not even going to talk about it.
I know. Because I certainly don't want Richie Hearn pissed off at me. So
I'm just going to let him do his thing, and we'll cover him if we need to. But right now, he's quietly just racing along. We keep talking about the good day that Kevin O'Keefe is having as well. 6.5 seconds, his gap back to 2nd place. And the main driver that he was competing with, Andrew Simmons, we saw come in mysteriously for a 2nd lap, just for a short stop. And Simmons is back in 7th right now.
We're going to have trouble getting O'Keefe into the booth should he win this race. You realize that, right? I mean, we're definitely not getting that head through the door. There's no way.
Oh, I'm sure his fans will be happy. He has plenty of them out there. The 629 running a pretty good race so far. We're just about at that halfway point. After that first set of pit stops, though, I'm looking up and down the field. Most drivers are kind of just getting their own little piece of track. I do see Matthew Thunhorst, after his dramas, is coming through the field. He's in a fight for 8th with Jeff Schmeier.
Yeah, it's just getting around him here.
He's down in the GTEs into the Porsche curves. That's one more up. He's got 20 seconds to try to run down Kevin Hill, the next driver up.
Actually, you talked about it, Passion. Jeff Schmeier. Jeff, right now, the highest Ford in the field. They're riding in 9th. And I think it is the only Ford left in the field today.
Up 9 positions in this class.
Yeah, we had that and one other Ford take the green, and unfortunately, it was Ian Gagnon Renault who
Yeah.
was the first driver out of the day.
First, not even first lap. Start of the race, poor guy. It was in Tetra Rouge, right? That I think where he went off there.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Might have. It was very early in the lap, unfortunately. Fighting the good fight as we get more pit stops for our LMP1s. Eric Smith, though, a little early, unfortunately, because of the damage that he accrued. So he's going to be overtaken by Ray Partridge, who manages to get by. I think Kyle Murphy also going to manage to slip through. For our viewers who are watching this series and thinking that it is only sports cars and only endurance racing, the majors is a lot more than that. They will be racing these cars this week, and then in 2 weeks' time, we'll come back for Indy cars at Detroit. There's a drastic difference for you. They run many different major events around the series, hence the majors. And they run all types of cars, all different types of racing to try and determine who is the best all around on iRacing, as anybody from around the world can compete in this series.
I've been watching the same battle we're watching on screen here between Hintz and Schindel, man. These two really wheeling it at the moment. Well, we switched battles. Sorry, we're on. Oh, Travis Warling, guys. Uh-oh.
Ooh, he's off in a big way. Where is this? That's Indianapolis.
Yeah, it was passing. Who's that? He passed Will Leslie. Got in hot.
Boy, you talk about a smart maneuver, though. We're going to watch from on board. And he knew there was the paved runoff there on the exit. He just kept it pointed forward, loaded up on the pavement instead of trying to take into the gravel and make the corner, and kept it out of the wall. Car is whole, no damage.
No arc or brakes on that car, baby. Okay.
That moves Richie Hearn now within 5 seconds, though, of that podium
It
spot.
sure does.
Minimizing mistakes. It'll get you positions here at a long race such as this. You could see a flash of that yellow car in the background as we watch the unorthodox driver complete another lap. You know, we were watching that battle before we jumped over to Warling between Lundy and Corbin. That's for fourth place. That's still pretty tight. This is Kinetic versus Puffin, I believe. No pass down through the Mulsanne corner. But Corbin starts to set him up and stays within the slipstream. One thing that I'm glad for is that he's going to take a look coming up to Indianapolis. Is he going to get by? Is he going to fight him? Lundy's got the outside. Nope, he's just going to step in behind as they break for this frightening corner. One thing I'm glad that iRacing has got this scan when they did is apparently there was a fire shortly after they scanned the track along that stretch up to Indianapolis that took out more of the trees. So we have a slightly prettier version here that still retains some of the foliage.
Every tree matters, Joe. Every tree matters.
Joe, did you know that the shooting of the movie Le Mans, they had to finish it in November, and the trees were starting to turn, so they actually had to go back and paint the trees green so they would match the early footage of the movie.
Are you pulling my leg on that one, or is that?
No, I'm
No,
serious.
that's true. Yeah,
Wow.
that's only the type of information you get from Bill Suits On, folks.
That's right.
Filmmaking is a weird business.
It is. It certainly is.
We jump up to Lionel Callisto, currently running in the 10th position, trying to chase down the Salami. And actually, is this correct, though? I'm seeing 10th being Jason Fleischle on my timing and scoring. Oh, excuse me. That's LMP2s. Probably won't be the first time I do that tonight.
I love that Soup made the Le Mans movie or that we've made the Le Mans movie reference. Period. Beautiful
Mike-
movie to look at. Not the greatest screenplay in the world, if I'm being honest. Or casting. Honestly, you've got Steve McQueen and a bunch of people I never heard of.
If we're honest, most racing movies don't really have great scripts, so we'll just we'll let it stay a beautiful thing and leave it at that.
Yes.
Garcia is in P1.
And so is Feinerman, still chasing him. Those two tight together, but they've dropped Warling after his problems, having to woe the car up into Indianapolis. But Warling going to stay on the same strategy he is in. So is Hearn behind them. This makes me wonder if this 2.4-hour race is going to be a little tight for these LMP1s.
I think it is. I think you just hit on something. It really is, because they're not going to make it an hour and 9 minutes. There's got to be another stop, guaranteed. There's just no way. I don't think they're going to need 2 stops. I think it's going to be right at one more stop. You're going to be able to split it from here.
Boy, these 4, the top 4, have really gapped the field because you have to go a long ways back to 5th place. That is Ross Banfield, who's only just coming up to the pits now, and Banfield is going to continue.
Garcia got out first, guys.
He was in first when they entered, so he'll retain the lead, but he's gapped Feinerman slightly.
A little bit.
3.5 seconds between them. With Feinerman staying out, that's going to shuffle him up to 3rd momentarily. Excuse me, Banfield staying out.
All right, Warling and Hearn come out together.
I think Hearn's still about the same gap back. We'll get the time down here in a second. Got a little traffic between them. That's Crudo and Johnson. And no, you're right. He gained on him he cut it in half, it looks like.
Yep.
Hearn now down to 2.5.
Yes, sir.
I think Richie was behind him. I think Richie said, as soon as he goes, I'm going. I think that's what.
Mike Willett is in the chat confirming exactly that. We're definitely 3 stops on the LMP1s. He says it's really going to be tight in the LMP2s, which are coming up on, they still have a few laps in them here before the next stop. But again, it's going to be really, really close on that.
Well, that'll be fun to watch. I know some people don't like fuel conservation races, but I think they can be fascinating and exciting down to the end. Not sure who is going to make it and how things are going to wind up.
Okay, we Joe, you, myself, and our fine director, the doctor, know that really don't want to run out of fuel here.
I didn't bring it up. You brought it up. Okay.
I know, yeah. Besides the Nürburgring, I don't think there's another track that you don't want to run out of fuel on. So you don't want to cut it short here.
Did you run the doctor out of fuel, Sean? Is that what I'm hearing?
I honestly don't think he's still forgiven me for it. So
he's the doctor of pits topology, and you ran him out of fuel. Oh,
might have.
Oh, jeez.
Watch from Schindell's perspective, just over his shoulder. He's trying to chase Hinz. The 416's got a little bit of traffic to deal with. That's Wayne Hutchison that he's going to go by. And then Christopher Sherburne splits them as they hit the Forza chicane. Question is, does Schindel have anything underneath him? The Australian driver has shown up with some pace. Go ahead, Bill.
He lost a little time. He was behind Hinz. He was right on his tail when we came back from break. He's lost a little bit there, but he's having a good run. You know, another driver that's having a good run. Can we give a little love to car 15, Christian Eisler, running second in the GTEs? We know him.
I know.
Big time over there from what is that? The Precision Racing League? Is that what we covered
Yes,
there? If I get that right?
yeah. And other
a
series
good
over
run.
the years, but man, the Iceman is just on point today, man. He's shown up here and he's putting on these guys.
I'd say so. And I even wondered about that as well, because we've seen in recent seasons in the PRL that he's sort of dropped back slightly. He's been faced by some tough customers, so I wasn't sure if he'd really be able to compete here or not. And, well, the answer is yes.
Well, we've never seen him racing anything over like maybe an hour at the most. That's a good run.
Consistency does count for something. Only 4 seconds off of the lead, which is currently Mark Torres in his Kinetic machine. Kinetic drivers, did they change sponsors? Because for a long time they were racing those green, white, and black colors, and now I'm seeing a whole lot of dark blue, beautiful navy blue out there.
Yeah, they've gone to the blue paint scheme. I could get the info. Give me a second.
Well, while he's doing that, let's jump up to the LMP2s, because Callisto in 10th is chasing down Beltrami and Cianfrani, all very, very close together. This is for 8th place. And in fact, I think the Salami is going to have something for Gustavo if he wants to do something. He's within the slipstream, but he starts to lift, so that gives the opportunity to Little Train, who now slips up the inside into Indianapolis, takes one position, almost gets into the back of Gustavo, but manages to slow up the car. You think the train's in a hurry?
Yeah, I think so.
So thankfully, no damage. He's able to keep going. Doesn't have a chance here into the Porsche curves, unfortunately. So he'll wait behind.
And I wish I could get my head around what Callisto's chances are here. He will cycle up, I think, ahead when people start to make pit stops ahead of him, but then he'll have to take one as well.
Continue to watch this battle, finishing up yet another lap.
Bob Beltrami tries, he might not going to be able to stay with those guys.
For those wondering, we've only had 6 retirements, it looks like, so far. Reynolds, Driscoll, McGreevy, Adams, Nasir, and Gagnon Renault. And out of 52 cars starting, that is pretty impressive. What's even weirder is it's only 3 GTE cars and 3 LMP1s. Every single LMP2 car that started this race is still going. And did we get a slowdown for Callisto? He suddenly backed off of Gustavo by a huge chunk there. Yeah, I think he's got to slow down, because here comes Beltrami. Ooh, but Beltrami's going to wait. Would have thought he'd try to go for it.
I'll sit on the back of the Little Train and see if he can bring him around the track.
Almost 1 hour left to go now. Who's got the fuel strategy? Who's got the pace? Oh, and did we miss a pass of Quinn overtaking Eisler?
Oh, that shouldn't have happened without a mistake. Because Eisler was well in front of him by
it was on the Mulsanne straight is where the pass happened.
He blew the corner. It was in the second chicane, Michelin chicane, that Eisler lost control of the car and actually nearly hit the wall. Not sure that we'll be able to get a replay.
Yeah, we shouldn't have been
talking about it.
Blaming it on Bill.
Yeah, they pay me to talk about drivers. Sorry, Christian. You're still in there. Betty, hunt him down. Run down Liam Quinn. Boy, talk about cross-pollination. Here we know Quinn from ABL, and then he races over in the batteries not included series, and then Eisler from the Precision Racing Leagues that we cover.
Isn't Quinn in Lionheart as well?
I guess Quinn does do Lionheart as well, yeah. No?
Meanwhile, I can report that Callisto's managed to get by Gustavo into Indianapolis. That moves Little Train up to 8th now.
Nah, Quinn doesn't do Lionheart. I just wanted to give him credit for stuff he has to do.
I guess it's because of his IndyCar prowess. I was just assuming. I think we have some either unscheduled stops or off-strategy stops for the LMP1s. Michael Thompson comes in his 314.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to make it, so something else has got him coming in.
Maybe he's just giving up on trying to stretch things and taking 2 quick stops. See how that plays out.
That's possible. Yeah, I mean, it is possible. I'm watching him in the pit stall because I want to see if he goes up for tires here, for just a quick fuel up and get out.
While you're watching that on screen, we see our leader, the 717 of Brandon Guarcia. He's left Feinerman in the dust. There is 6 seconds between himself and the next car back. And they've got a huge gap back to Banfield and a whole 16 seconds to the car in 3rd to complete the podium for the top class. It's a lapped car in the LMP2's Dick Mueller up ahead of Guarcia.
Yeah, that was just a fuel stop back there for Thompson.
Interesting. Plot thickens.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, and Corbin just got overtaken for 3rd by Mark Schindel on the Molson straight.
Yeah, Schindel should have been in that position. I think Schindel had an issue. Got into some lap traffic. That's why he lost that spot. Because Schindel was working on the back of his.
No, I think Corbin got a slowdown. I think it's another case of he cut the chicane too tight.
Right. No, you are correct.
Yeah.
He made the pass. The point is Schindel had been racing in 3rd behind Hintz. Got an issue, got back there, so he got his spot back.
Eventually was going to get it no matter what, is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah. Just made it a little bit easier. Yeah, we were saying sort of the same thing, just in different ways. Ross Banfield, in the meantime, comes in. Another one of our drivers on a slightly alternate strategy.
Yeah.
Where does this take him out? Well, should be 6 because Fleischle is way back there.
Yeah, he sits in 6, and they've taken the spare car there. Banfield has had a little bit of damage. I just saw that car get that repaired very quickly. It's up on the jacks though, so this full fuel and tires for Ross Banfield as he gets ready to pull out here. And Jason Fleischle not even close to him.
Yeah, no, dude, when I looked back, it was like there's no way he's catching him.
He did come out in front of a GTE, though. It was a tense moment that came right out in front of Mark Torres.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's actually our GTE leader that he came out in front of. So thankfully doesn't get caught up behind him.
And a good time to mention Torres because that Kinetic Racing team, no sponsor, just a new livery. That's the answer, guys. Thank you again, Mike Willett.
Torres leading Christian Eisler by about 10 seconds after Eisler had his scary moment. Christian's managed to re-overtake Liam Quinn for 2nd place. Looking through the field, a little bit of action for 9th in the LMP1. This is Kyle Murphy and David Hanger. Oh, and did something happen to Kevin O'Keefe amongst them? Because O'Keefe suddenly looked out of sorts. Ooh, we had a moment with Kevin O'Keefe. This is worth looking at because this gave Thomas Hinz some of that gap back. This was out of the Dunlop chicane. He was trying to let those two by, and I think Sean or Bill, he maybe caught a little too much curb.
He did. Yeah, those are the curbs you don't want to hit right there. Joe got up a little bit too up on top of him there, and it really did upset the car. Here's the replay from above. This would be a better angle.
This is a good thing that he caught it, because he could have lost the lead if it spun fully around. Woohoo! Nice catch.
Very nice catch.
Under an hour to go now.
Boy, this one's
This is
flown
gonna-
by, man.
Certainly has. But it's not been without excitement. And certainly some drama. Bill, you always talk about paying attention to the championship situation. Why don't we take a look at that, actually, real quick again, because for those just joining, Blake Reynolds has left the race intentionally, was not happy with how things were going. So where is his rival Thunderhorse?
It could be worse for Reynolds. Thunderhorse is running 8th right now. So it's not going to be... So you would think it's not going to be a ton of points. Thunderhorse car number 98, I think, running
Eighth in the
8th in
GTEs,
class,
yeah.
39th overall, yeah. So when you do the math, you take 8th, and because you get first place points, second gets you 4th place points. So really, it's not a whole bunch. It's like 24th.
Yeah, in a
That
normal
made
race.
sense to people. Yeah.
I guess, yeah, multiply it by 3, and that's
There you
what
go.
it would come out as points-wise for each position. It's probably going to be a little bit disappointing for the Alliance driver. Maybe this not his strong suit so much. Meanwhile, we jump up to Christian Eisler and Liam Quinn, second in the GTEs. They come out of the Porsche curves. While Eisler has gotten by Mr. Excitement, Liam keeping him within touch.
A good battle.
We're going to get interrupted by Fleischle. Remember, Jason had that very strange early stop that we weren't totally sure about. He's currently in 7th. And he's actually been out for about 4 laps, which is the same as our leaders, effectively. Makes me wonder if Jason simply had to come and serve a stop and go for cutting the course, not being able to serve the penalty well enough on the first lap.
Boy, it will be really fun to see Quinn and Eisler race for real. I mean, they're racing right now, but this will heat up in another,
Yeah,
you know,
nothing
40 minutes.
huge to fight for at the moment.
Guys, Jason Lundy just pulled his LMP2 off the track at the very end of his pit window. He's on a little bit different strategy here at the moment, but he's not close enough. Unfortunately, guys, I don't think he's close enough to make it to the end. I think we got to be somewhere around 48 minutes to go, and he's coming in. There's, 52 and a half seconds left right now. 52 and a half minutes. Sorry, guys.
How about if he takes a really long time for this pit stop, though? Then it'll be less time. Then he won't have to go so far.
Ball soup.
Bill, I'm glad you are not my crew chief. Listen, we're just going to sit in the stall for a while. Trust me on this. Kevin O'Keefe clearly slightly on a better strategy. Though his last mistake allowed Hins to close it in to within about 5 seconds on him. Ooh, Lundy definitely taking tires and everything. Back off the jacks, and away he goes. On the pit lane, the Puffin Racing car gets back up to speed and is going to return in 12th position. Oh, got a light right foot. A little bit of a battle between Schindel and Corbin going on for
Yeah.
3rd in the LMP2s.
I think Corbin took it to heart when I said Schindel was going to run away from him. Scott's doing a good job of staying right there.
Got Wade Hayes in front of them. And catch him on a long stretch of straightaway. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue trying to get by this GTE car. The Porsche just going to stay off to the side as his kinetic teammate gets through. 2 Kinetic teammates, actually, I think.
Head down into Indianapolis.
Not going to have an opportunity into this corner. So he's going to sit and wait patient as he continues to ride on the coattails of the 416.
They're both on identical pit stop strategy, so they'll be probably coming in close to each other.
I don't know if it's the fact that it's such a long lap with a lot of space to spread out or what, but we still only have those 6 retirements. Or did I speak too soon? Jason Lundy grayed out on my screen. Did he have something happen? Or did he have a connection issue?
He just did that pit stop.
Oh, he had contact. This was maybe about a minute ago coming out of Tertre Rouge. He got sideswiped by Eric Smith. Although it looks like Lundy is drifting off to the side. So I'm not sure I'd put this one on Smith so much. Yeah, there you see the results of it. His car is damaged. And it must have been too damaged to continue because he towed it to the pits and then decided it's not worth trying to finish. This is the Forest S's. You're going to see Smith's car rush up behind this Puffin Racing machine in an LMP1. There he is there. Oh, that actually even looked like netcode. Just hit his suspension wrong. Pulled it over. Had to call it quits. The opposite end of the spectrum, Kevin O'Keefe is in.
And he's out. He's rolling out now. A lot of our P2s have come in, completing their stops, rolling off the pit lane now. O'Keefe, the benefactor, coming out with no traffic.
And you've got some information. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Sue.
Is O'Keefe done? Can he go 48 in the GTEs?
He's going to be. He could be potentially a lap short on fuel. We've got some information that's rolled in. I think Corbin's the guy we want to keep an eye on, because what I'm hearing is the optimum fuel window here is a 14, 13, and 13 on the stints. Corbin's on pace to do that right now. It's going to be close. O'Keefe, it's going to be very, very close on window. He may have to soft shoot a bit there, maybe on that last lap. And boy, we know the last lap's not the one you want to soft shoot on.
Well, and could we potentially get an extra lap? We already saw that once today.
Yeah.
Down in the much slower SRFs. But fuel always matters, and the number of laps always matters. So as we watch, whoa, and that was Scott Corbin with Michael Thompson.
Wow.
Very similar to what we just witnessed with Lundy, and I think he might have gotten away with it. Oof.
So what I'm hearing right now is O'Keefe, based on that pit stop right there, is going to have to somehow manage 14 laps.
Think that's doable?
I don't know. I don't think so. It's going to be very, very tight. He may have to push it 14 laps to just finish it with. He's going to have to push it 14 laps to finish it without a pit stop, unless, of course, we wind up with 1 lap less or 1 lap extra. And that changes everything.
Kind of all depends how fast Garcia is, right?
Well, exactly.
When this race ends.
Right, exactly. Yes. Right. So it's going to depend on where the leader in the LMP1s is, obviously, when we get down to that time limit. 46 minutes to go, guys.
So we'll know soon enough exactly how many laps we're going to have left. It's a little bit easier to figure it out around here, at least unless it's tight on lap time, crossing in line with 0 minutes left to go. And here comes are drivers from the LMP2s, Schindel and Corbin. Not bad timing for Corbin if he did get any damage from that contact.
These guys were on the same pit strategy before this stop.
And Kevin O'Keefe is, we see him on screen. There's the comparison. O'Keefe, 62.9 end to end, 31 seconds stationary. Corbin still waiting for the fuel to finish.
O'Keefe is going by
Schindel
right
is out and
now.
going.
There goes O'Keefe.
Corbin in for a long, long time. Oh no. Did Corbin, I think. Corbin, yeah, he's taking tires. There he goes.
I think because he knows that, you know what, that long stop's not going to hurt him.
That's still a risk, though.
Yeah, he's got two guys to catch now, though. Schindel's on the same strategy as him. Might be a little bit slower with older tires, but well, he's got a whole stint to run it down, so we'll see if that matters. And then you got to figure that O'Keefe maybe have to soft shoe it. So it's gonna be fun.
I'm gonna say what Mr. Richard Hearn said to me at Indy: tires are king, baby, and Scott has got fresh boots on that HPD, so we'll see.
44 minutes on the clock. The only driver I'm seeing yet to take a stop in front of him is Lionel Callisto, but I'm not sure if this is incorrect.
No, you're right. Lionel's still out. He's a little over 12. He's 12 laps into this stint, working on 13 now. He's going to be rolling in here at any point. He hasn't taken that last stop yet. His next stop will obviously be his last one, but it's going to set him behind. I would expect Corbin to pass him.
Because he's only about 10 seconds up the road now that I look at it. So yeah, he'll be by you, correct.
Yeah, he gets to go about 2 laps farther because he had that pit stop about 2 laps in. Oh, Hins just had an issue. Richie Hearn got him.
This is coming out of the Michelin chicane. Miscommunication, it looks like. Hearn wanted to take the right side of the track on the exit, but so did Thomas.
No, it was just an ever so slight touch there by Richie. I've seen this already today in the European majors, Joe. You have a decision to make as the driver behind. You're curious, which way is he going to go? Where's he going to go? You don't know. You've got to make a lucky guess, right? Well, and as the driver being chased, you're guessing as well. What's this HPD or what's this LMP1 going to do behind me?
Unfortunately, they both guessed the same thing, unfortunately.
Yeah. Luckily, Richie didn't pick up any damage on that.
Well,
none visible.
Unluckily for Hins, he hit the wall hard. We saw on the replay, he scraped along the Armco for a good while. And that is really sad since he was looking at a podium.
So Hins was ahead of both Corbin and Schindel. So that's puts one less car between them and then the leader.
And actually, that's a good point because let's mention the number 96 in there. Andrew Oakey. I don't think we've even mentioned him other than the grid today. That could give him a potential chance at a podium here, depending on what happens with everybody else's fuel. This is a beautiful, quiet run by the driver from the Northwest.
Callisto making his stop.
So we know Schindel's going to get by. Oakey's going to get by. Corbin, most likely. Depends on if Hins has to come in for repairs. And he does. Oh, no.
Yeah, he had to. No choice there. Corbin's going to get by the little train, I think. Lionel, he's still sitting. Corbin goes by. Corbin up to P4.
So Simmons goes on through. But with Hins pitting, Gustavo is a long ways back. I think Kalisto's going to come out in 6th place here.
Yeah, seeing Ferrani's not going to catch these guys. I really don't know. They're pulling out right now, aren't they? Yeah.
Yep. Number 2 is going.
This could be
So
a good
is
battle.
Hins. Hins is able to get out at the same time as he is.
This will be 40 minutes of excitement right here.
Yes, I have no doubt about that. I am eagerly awaiting to see how these two handle each other. One, an unknown. The other, we know, does not give up on anything out here. That's how Kalisto got himself a championship.
They managed to get right out, and it's so timely, right out in front of Brian Halleck in his GTE. Brian back in 15th there in the GTE. He's just hanging in there. He's actually the last car running in the GTEs at the moment.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, Brian definitely gets a Dory Award for today. The number 3 car's got about 2 minutes to the next car up, but the reason that we bring that up always is I have a lot of admiration for drivers that just keep going at it, even if they don't have a chance or very little chance of overtaking anybody or really getting anything other than the pride of seeing the checkered flag. That is a racer's spirit.
Thanks, Joe.
And beautifully, Halleck has painted his car like, I believe that was the art car for the BMW one year.
Is that a Peter Max design, possibly?
I have no idea.
Might have been.
I just know it's a very beautiful car.
It is, yes. Also the BMW fan here.
And I know your reasoning for that, so.
Almost had 400,000 miles, baby.
Yeah, it was a shame how that thing went. Anyways, we'll talk about that later. Action on screen as we go to our leader in the LMP1s. This has stayed surprisingly close, especially considering how far away the next car is. Travis Whirling, 42 seconds back from P2. But Guardacia and Feinerman, 5.5 seconds between them after 2.5 hours of racing.
Little by little, Garcia, a little bit faster than Feinerman.
Yeah, but if he makes any sort of mistake or if he catches traffic wrong, that could put this battle right back on. So we watch Feineman work his way down the long Mulsanne straight.
Always seeking to be factual, Joe. The BMW art car was Jeff Koons, New York artist. So here we go.
We've had a little bit of a hovering battle for a long time, and it's towards the back of the LMP1s. But some love for Kyle Murphy and David Hanger. This has been for 9th place, and they've been within a second of each other for many, many minutes now. Keep thinking that David's going to make something happen. But so far, no dice.
No salami either as they went by, so good job there.
Bob in the slower LMP2 class, so not fighting for position with those two. They've got Halleck in front of them.
Yeah.
Ooh, this could give a good opportunity for Hanger.
Halleck didn't want any part of that. He didn't want any part of that.
Thought for sure that David maybe would have a chance to try and stick his nose in. How are we seeing on that manufacturer's battle? Oh, he's got a good run off of the Ford chicane, though. Closes in, and once again he lifts. Is Hanger maybe saving fuel a little bit here? It must be. That's very strange. Could have absolutely threatened to take this 9th place away. It's multiple classes in front of them. El Crudo, oh! That was Gustavo that he nearly touched and spun coming through Tertre Rouge. Fart in your throat stuff. Saw him at the last second when he wanted to turn in and decided to take the slowdown rather than take the trip to the barrier.
So, when was the last time we talked about the progress that Scott Corbin was making with those fresh tires? Well, guess what, guys? He's to the wing of Andrew Oki. As P3 looking up here, and he's making the pass. Boom. Joe, I believe once you said one ringy dingy.
And he's got 2 more to go. There is the lap times, but obviously a little messed up, I think, by the pits. So we were hoping to maybe get some data on how much he had gained on him. We like our new toys here with these graphics, but we're finding some limits for them apparently. So
now, Joe, hang on. Let me stop you real quick because I'm looking at the timing and scoring. I'm looking at the gaps right now on how far he is from Shindell and O'Keefe. And with these fresh tires, Joe, even if they didn't need to pit, he might catch them on raw pace. He's 3 seconds faster than they are right now.
wow.
Yeah. Literally 3 seconds a lap faster than Shindell and O'Keefe.
Okay, here's the thing though. We've got
10 laps.
He's got 10 laps and he's 15 seconds to go. 3 times 10. Yeah, that should be enough. That'll do it. You're right.
Thanks, Richie. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm never gonna, if Richie Hearn tells you tires are king, okay? That's it. It's like if Chuck Norris tells you that steak tastes like chicken, it's definitely chicken.
Is that because he was a Texas Ranger? Walker Texas Ranger? I screwed that joke up, but
you did.
Anyways,
You
yes.
did.
Ignore that one. Let's move on. About a half hour left to go in this 2 hour and 24-minute race. The 2.4 hours of Le Mans here halfway through the season in the majors. Here's another one of our kinetic cars. Mark Torres leading Christian Eisler by nearly a minute. But I see that Torres has had 1 stop. Eisler has had 2. So I do believe the 05 has got 1 more to make it to the finish of this race. Looking through the field, and Cortesia pits. About a lap ago, we also had Eric Smith in. Actually, 3 laps ago, I should say. Feinerman is in. Those are both of our leaders. Brandon had stretched it out to about 6 seconds over his competitor. Must be a lot nicer, Bill, for Brandon competing here without the likes of DeVries to compete with.
All the Audubon guys giving us yes. He does seem really comfortable.
Love this Tron-looking paint scheme that they've got on the unorthodox cars. Cortesia and Feinerman are both out. Cortesia ahead. We'll get that gap for you in a moment.
Yeah, and Warling just coming down the pit lane now. Richie Hearn following him in. I think the gap just under 5 seconds between those two now. Yeah, there we go on screen.
So I think Brandon slightly slower than Jake in the pit stop. So Jake able to gain something on him, put a little bit of pressure on, but again, he's been outpaced so far from what we've seen once they get out on track. Still not the end of this race. Don't bank on Brandon having this in the bag. Richie Hearn takes his final stop.
Clement and Quinn.
Wait a minute.
This
When
is
did
a good
Quinn
one, Joe.
wind up in 5th place?
Yeah, I was looking. I could not figure out why Liam was back there. He was chasing Eisler. I couldn't find an issue. He didn't make a stop. I don't know.
Well, Quinn did stop a couple laps ago. Eisler just came out of the stop here just a minute ago, maybe.
Yeah, this lap. And Liam stopped 2 laps ago. Liam's was a 29.8 versus Eisler's 23.5. That's still only 6 seconds.
And
much farther than that apart.
It happened a while ago. Quinn must have had an issue. No, but it must have. But what is interesting though is what Thunhorst has done now. Remember, we talked about him as far as big picture. He's coming in for a pit stop right now. Yeah,
and Thunhorst is in exactly right now.
All right, this is critical to the championship. Where is this going to put the number 98? Yeah, found his box this time. Good point.
We talked about that.
It is the very first one, right, Sean?
Right, and we talked about that when we went to break earlier, guys, after he'd missed that stop and then had to come all the way around again. It is the very, very, very last stall. If you don't know where it's at, then you don't get a chance.
I tell you what, we've had a change for position in 4th in the LMP2s. Andrew Simmons and his continued attempt at climbing back forwards. What could have been a fight for the win is now just an attempt to get back to the podium. He overtook Andrew Oakey and is on his way.
Continues to make that charge at Scott Corbin, trying to run down Schindel. Not sure if he's going to have enough to get to O'Keefe unless O'Keefe really has to run to the...
Okay, so he's got it down to 4.5 seconds now behind Schindel. It was what, 7? It was about 7 seconds here when last time we talked about it. He's still faster than O'Keefe by 3 seconds. So and again, we don't even know if those guys can make it. Well, Schindel can. Schindel can because they went in together, but Schindel doesn't have the tires. Corbin does.
Right.
Yeah, clearly Corbin being faster is probably going to be able to get that. Wonder if, do we know if Simmons took tires on his last stop?
He did not.
Yeah, I've just seen that now. Yeah, his was much quicker than Corbin. So probably not going to have the pace for the 54. Be on about the same length of tire stint as Mark Schindel. So probably not going to catch him. 4th could be the best that we'll see Andrew Simmons do.
Now, Schindel is a kinetic teammate of Corbin, so we'll be interested to see how hard he fights him when he gets there.
It would be a shame, just out of justice-wise, if O'Keefe doesn't get the win. He's clearly been the fastest car. To have him have issues fuel-wise would be rough.
He may wind up being a victim of strategy, and that's what I hate to say here because he's been just magnificent today, and it's
well, you got
why me?
You got to be the full package. It's not just who's fastest over a single lap; it's who's fastest over the full race.
Right.
My dad,
I don't think Kevin's saving fuel because he's taking it hot into corners.
Yeah, well, you saw him just light up the tires, or you saw the same thing I did.
So that could mean 2 things. That could mean he feels good, he doesn't have to worry about fuel, or he knows he doesn't have enough, he doesn't have to worry about fuel. No reason to save fuel if you can't get there.
Yeah, but he knows right now he's going to have to go further than he's gone on any previous stint to finish this race with the checker. So I think he's pedaling as fast as he can so Corbin doesn't catch him, and he hopes that Brandon Garcia is at the right spot on the track when this race ends.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know. It's great, isn't it? To all of our fans, does everybody watching have tired head yet? It's ponderous, man. Absolutely ponderous.
Comes through that Forza chicane. He continues down the very thirsty Mulsanne straight, where you are flat out for a long, long time. Corbin's now within 2 seconds of Schindel. He could probably see him pretty clearly up ahead. So we said, is he still 3 seconds a lot faster than O'Keefe? There's Corbin and Schindel, just how much he's been chopping it with. Look at that. 4 seconds a lap faster on one of those.
Yeah, I don't even have to tell you about it anymore. You can look at it on screen there. There's the facts, folks.
1.5. This is probably going to be a pretty easy task for the number 54. Especially as Bill pointed out, Schindel is a teammate. Now, is it sister teams or is it the same team? Because there's Kinetic's got a few of them.
No, there's sister teams. I'm pretty sure that's sister teams for those two. They're in the family.
That's the Toro Rosso ahead of him, I suppose, right? Nothing to that one? Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Schindel on the Kinetic Americas junior team and Corbin on the Americas team. So a senior team and a junior team.
Of course, we don't know which is which necessarily, so I say that Toro Rosso, or maybe they just don't even have designations on where they send the fast guys. Who knows?
As far as Corbin goes, will the feel good wear off of those tires?
That's a good point.
Are old tires closer to really old tires than good tires are to old tires?
Okay, but the problem is they can't be near as bad as the guys that are double stinting their tires ahead of him. Okay, that's, he's got a whole stint on those guys with those tires. So even if the fall off is tremendous, which it's not, let's face it, it's not tremendous, but it's enough.
Was a slowdown.
Yeah.
Sorry, on screen we saw Corbin go very wide out of the Porsche curves, and he can't do stuff like that if this is tight to the end, if O'Keefe can get to the end. You see it right here. I wondered as I was watching it live, it's like, oh, that does not look like the right line. You can't stay outside of those yellow lines when they end. You got to be back on the track. That is your safety box. You're taking a lot of the curves. We haven't paid too much attention to what's going on in the GTEs for a while. And did Torres, Mark Torres just took his stop, it looks like. So that gap to Eisler's come down. The bad news for Eisler, it is still 14 and a half seconds. So the Iceman looking more like a podium, although it is not out of the picture that he could potentially get the win if something happens to Torres. But it's out of his hands at this point.
Quiet run from Clement in a podium spot.
Very much so. Trevor should be very proud of that one. We haven't mentioned too that this is a podium in the pro split. They did have one sportsman split for today's race. Took a lot just to get in here. Got a little bit of a battle, speaking of podiums, for third in the LMP1s. Eric Smith has run down Travis Warling. They're going to go by that art car BMW in a hurry. The Apex versus Unorthodox here in the final 20 minutes at Le Mans to decide who gets to spray the champagne.
Smith had that incident earlier where he sideswiped the car. It looks like he's got it back up to speed.
Back up to speed and in a hurry to try and get himself up one more. Both of them really using as much of the track as they can coming out of the forward chicanes. Smith down now within 0.3 of a second. Not close enough to make an attack down into the Dunlop chicane. Could he be setting him up potentially for the Mulsanne straight? They'll get a little bit of traffic here in a moment. It's Leherbier. Surprised at Leherbier's position. He's only 8th in those GTEs. Tends to be a little bit faster. Whoa! And that is why I say you can never count this thing as over. That tiny little miscalculation from both classes could have gone so much worse, but everybody got out spick and span.
Corbin now within 0.7 of a second of Schindel.
See my note in a little thing there.
Yep.
I'm watching it. and the gap to O'Keefe continues to come down. It's at 6 seconds now.
Boy, this is going to be tight. This is one of those moments I wish that we had the team radio like they do in the real world, so that we could listen in on what's going on with O'Keefe's fuel. But I guess that's what makes it all the more exciting, just not knowing if he can make it.
Yeah, the fans out there are just as in the dark as we are. So
watch them head down the Mulsanne. Schindel, the car ahead. Corbin, the car behind. Corbin is gaining. And he's gaining fast. They've also got Brian Barnes ahead of them. Can be held up slightly through this chicane. This allows Corbin to close even more.
Get him on this segment.
And so they leave the Frozen Treats car in the dust. Corbin still in the slipstream. Now within a car length, less than a car length. He looks to the inside. This has been many laps coming. The number 54 has a nose ahead, and he's into second. The only car between himself and a win is Kevin O'Keefe, 6.5 seconds up the road. What's he got for him? Six laps left. Is he still 3 seconds a lap faster?
It was about 2 seconds on that last lap, Joe.
So still doable, but
yeah.
And again, that's considering if O'Keefe goes the distance.
Kevin is.
Ooh, yeah, there you go.
Kevin's pedaling as hard as he can, guys.
Is Kevin streaming today, actually? Curious what is showing.
Good question. I can answer that for you. Hang on.
All right. He's going to check that because he has to be aware of what's happening. And if he is, I can imagine he is a nervous wreck right now. It's so rare that you get a victory in the majors. Very few drivers have managed to get victories over its 5-year existence now. Oh, but to slow Corbin up, Schindel coming back at him a little bit. If he starts to fight with him, that'll be bad news for the number 54.
So to have the laps be less laps, does O'Keefe want Garcia to hurry or slow down? I guess
it's a good question.
It's where Garcia comes across.
Garcia is coming through Arnage right now, so he'll be to the end of the lap soon. He's been running 3:18s. .318s, 3:19s. So three quarters in or 3 minutes and a quarter.
I have no faith in whatever you're coming up. This is hopeless. You have already gone down.
Well, I'm waiting to see when he comes across. I'm stalling, Bill.
Okay,
this is dramatic
right.
effect. He's through the Porsche curves. He's still got 5 seconds over Feiderman too, so he can't afford to slow down his pace to try and game the system and get 1 lap less. And Eric Smith's dropped off, so we'll get to that in a second. 15 minutes left.
I'm taking a look. Yeah,
less than 5 laps left to go.
And he got Smith trying to go around Liam Quinn.
Yep,
And
I just found it also. Oh, he hit that bump. He hit that bump that we've seen already. Oh.
Yep.
Yes, he
On
hit
the
the bump on the
Mulsanne
Mulsanne straight. Yes. Really.
And then after that, we'll want to stay with the replay here. Actually, it's right here. Yes, this is a good spot. He hit the wall. He was trying to overtake traffic. Watch. And that looked like netcode, actually. Ooh, severe damage on that 32. He's got 16 seconds back to Richie. I think this is what slowed him up a lot more.
I think when I was riding a BMX bicycle, they called that an endo.
Smith is in the pits. He is too damaged. This will absolutely hand it over to Richie Hearn. Ross Banfield will probably get by if he has damage to repair. Fleischle might be too far back. Depends on how much Smith has to repair this car.
You asked earlier if Kevin O'Keefe was streaming. I'm going to tell you how dialed in Kevin O'Keefe is right now. He's not streaming, Joe.
Yeah.
Did not want to be bothered with it today.
This is a good time for him probably not to be streaming. He's got all his focus on the track.
4.4 seconds the gap from O'Keefe to Corbin.
We're going to know soon enough if he's got enough to make it, because if he stays out with about 3 minutes to go, then he is committed.
Oh, he's staying out. If he was coming in, he would be running faster lap times.
Well, he wasn't running faster lap times than Corbin, if that's what you're saying.
I mean, if
Wouldn't
fuel
be pushing
wasn't
the
an issue,
car.
he would be pushing the car if he was going to come in, because he would want to open up as big as gap as he could.
Yeah.
Now,
there you see the gap visibly. It's down to 2.2. So I don't think it matters anymore whether or not he's got to make a stop.
What a call from Scott Corbin if it works out like we think it will.
Certainly has proved to be a fantastic strategy. And we've seen in the past, strategy wins you races at Le Mans. I think Corbin sussed that one out. Down to 1.9. Now less than 2 seconds between them. For Eric Smith fans, unfortunately, he is still in the pits. He's all the way down to 8th position.
So was Kevin O'Keefe so fast because he didn't have his numbers right? I mean, I guess it's easy to go fast if you're going to go one extra stop. And I think that's kind of what got him, huh?
Well, I think maybe he was working the reverse strategy, if I'm understanding correctly, Sean. It was the 13-13-14 instead.
right. Yes.
Yeah, so he basically put himself under the gun to try and stretch it out at the end and not be able to defend.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why he looked so impressive, because he wasn't playing by the same rules as the other guys who were going 14, who had to watch their numbers.
Corbin's got it down to 1.5 seconds. That was Jason Fleischle going through. Fleischle having recovered from his strange early stop, up to 6th place now.
But honestly, the strategy works for O'Keefe because he still got a good chance of being ahead of Schindel. It was Corbin stopping for tires, taking tires. That was the clutch there.
This is still assuming that O'Keefe does not come in for fuel, that he'll be ahead of Schindel, though. We don't know if he can...
He's not coming in. He's a Crimson Knight of Rutgers. They go the distance, baby.
I'm not counting on anything. That's all I'll say. It's when the checkered flag flies, that's when I'll know how things panned out.
Okay, I don't want us to ignore what's going on in the GTE class, okay? Because we really still have a compelling battle there for fifth. Is Thunhorse doing everything he can. The Alliance driver trying to hold off the kinetic driver of Wade Hayes. Hayes is just breathing down his neck, and Miguel Crudo is right in the mirror, guys.
And that is important championship
you did
wise.
it. That was your fault.
Jeez. Okay, I'm done. See you guys later. I'm going off for dinner. Bye.
Want to see an example of the commentator's curse? That's
Wow.
it. Wade Hayes has been on screen. Literally, this is the first time we've shown him. Unbelievable.
Can we blame the chat? Can we blame, because they were hounding us. So like, hey, we got a battle going on back there, and yeah, I know, but you went and did.
Well, now we covered it. So
All right.
I can tell you that Corbin is now within a second. And I was going to say that battle was actually very important down there. Let's stay on this with the leaders. But that fifth place battle, and again, a huge point swing if Thunhorse would have lost that place. So that helps his championship hopes, gaining a few more, staying in fifth.
This is gonna
left on the clock. Yeah,
this is gonna happen fast now. As O'Keefe coming up behind. Careful!
All right.
Give it a hill.
He'll tries to stay out of the way. Did it catch out Corbin a little bit? Not nearly as much. Everybody survives. Warm-up lap versus Kinetic Racing. The 54, though, has got to execute, you got to say.
Yeah.
He has to make the pass, and he has to keep it clean. He's been running this pace, and he's been running it well. But nothing is handed to you in racing. You can see weaving down the Mulsanne straight, trying to stay in the slipstream of Ludwig and Fleischle. Use that for a little bit extra pace to maybe keep him safe a tiny bit longer from Scott Corbin. But Corbin is now going to lose the car.
Howdy.
What did I say? You got it. 0.6 of a second now go back to 1.2. Let's watch from on board on the replay. A little greedy. Thought that lead was within sight, within touch, and started to abuse the track limits, and they bit back. Still got 6 minutes left to try and make this pass.
That might have bought him enough time.
You know, that was Ernie Ludwig that Kevin had to get around, and Ernie, another Kinetic Racing driver, see him, he just moves right out of the way for Scott, lets him get by.
He'd love to see his teammate take a victory, but it's going to be 1.2 seconds to try and do so. Scott Corbin I think he's another one that has yet to win a victory in a pro split race here in the majors. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't remember Corbin giving one.
I was just saying right now, top of my head, and I mean, I think the three of us have been on most of the majors, more major coverage than anybody else, and I would say I certainly don't ever remember Corbin coming to victory lane. So Not even doing an interview with us. So hopefully we get him in the booth this evening. I want to talk to this guy about that strategy.
We switched back to Lionel Kalisto because we got a 3-car fight for 5th place. Oki up at the front of the train, and then that's Hins at the back of it. Oh, and there's some traffic slowing up Oki. Brian Halleck trying to stay out of the way. Inside line for Andrew Oki. Momentum in the favor of Lionel Kalisto as they come off the corner, and he's going to be able to complete that pass. In fact, it's 2 spots lost. One little mistake is all it takes, and somebody is there to pounce.
Who knew we'd get all this excitement from the HPDs today?
A slightly less complicated car,
Yeah.
which is saying something about the complication of those LMP1s when you call the HPD a simple car.
Traditionally, it just doesn't seem we've gotten a majority of the battles out of the HPD class, and that's where the action's at today, baby.
For those wondering, we're not missing anything up at the LMP1s. Oh, and something happened to Oki. This is out of the Ford chicane.
He just lost it, man.
Yeah.
I think it was the curb. Yeah. Yep. He hopped it up over the curb. It gave him trouble getting back to the other side, and just turned him around.
Use a little French. She did a pirouette
Yes.
and went on his way.
Now
That
O'Keefe is on the Mulsanne, and Corbin in the wake.
This time a lot better through the Michelin chicane compared to last time. He's cut it down to 0.5 of a second now. Last time he lost his patience a little bit. Can he find a good opportunity? Ahead of them, is that a battle for position between Hayes and Leherbier? Yes, it is. So this complicates it even more. Slows up O'Keefe through the Mulsanne corner. He uses the slipstream once they get onto the straight, using everything he can to try to
Take your time, yeah.
Kevin tried to pick up just every 10th he can there.
Yeah,
1,000.
he did. Oh, and now they've got Ray Partridge. He's in an LMP1 to the inside and up into Indianapolis. He doesn't have the bravery. He lets Scott Corbin through into the lead. The first lead change we've seen on track just about all race since the beginning.
No problem. Kevin's just got to stay focused here, man. A podium finish still just amazing for him. if
3
he can
minutes
pull
to
this
go.
off.
2 left.
Now watch his lap times fall off now that he's lost the lead. Now
Remember,
he just
though,
has
he's
to stay ahead of
got
Schindel.
to make it. We don't know if he's going to make it, guys. I mean, I think we're going to get the white flag this time.
Yeah, this is the white flag. So this will tell us how committed he is. And El Crudo. Oh no! Corbin! Sorry, Corbin almost gets run into, and that time it looked like there was contact with El Crudo.
Oh, wow.
I think
Maybe a little net code, maybe?
we've seen that a few times already, yeah. Even still,
He's out.
that lasted
O'Keefe is
way
out
too
of
long.
fuel.
Or did he have a slowdown? I think O'Keefe had a slowdown there,
All right, maybe it's a slowdown. Okay.
which certainly doesn't help when you're low on fuel. Yeah, he must have cut the corner a little too tight.
Yeah, that is. And the white flag is out. He's committed now. He's got no choice.
So he thinks he's got enough to get to the finish. And it's looking like a second place, but he's only got 3.8 seconds back to Schindel. Guardacia on screen, our leader in the LMP1s, 8.2 seconds ahead of Jake Feineman. Those two have been the class of the field. But the 717 Porsche, after the first set of stops, has pretty much looked unstoppable. Pulled a gap, held that gap, and poor Jake just had no answer to him.
It was that last lap that Garcia was actually able to get around Corbin and O'Keefe, making them go one less lap.
Yeah, but I think he would have caught them this lap.
That's true. That's true.
So I think
Yeah.
it was a pretty sure thing on where they would have wound up. Meanwhile, that's our leader in the GTEs, Mark Torres. Talk about a driver who's probably happy we haven't shown a whole lot of him. 21 seconds back to Christian Eisler. That is some incredible pace.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to talk about him.
Garcia in the Mulsanne corner one last time. To give you
Time's
an
up.
idea, to give you an idea of just how much difference there is between the front two and the rest of the LMP1 field, Travis Worling is a whole minute behind the car in first place, and Worling is in third. Then you have to go another 40 seconds back to get to fourth place, which is Richie Hearn, just shy of a podium here. It's already weaving in celebration. Garcia feels pretty confident about this win. It's been 2 hours and 24 minutes since we took the green. And Brandon Garcia, who started this race on the front row, but in second place, will jump up one position. That's all the better he could do. Out of the Porsche curves, through karting, and into Maison Blanche. The 717 has one corner left to go here. It's the Ford chicane. Victory in store for Brandon Garcia as he comes across the line. Your winner today here in Le Mans.
Right
Least-
behind Scott Corbin.
Yeah, he's going to be our next victor. The 54 put one over on Rutgers Kev, denying him his first win. But we believe the first win for Scott Corbin himself. And what a place to do it at. We got a long time to wait for Mark Torres. He's still on the Mulsanne.
O'Keefe
Trying to
gets
see.
second, about 2 seconds ahead of Schindel.
Let's see if we have any more fights to the line happening. Actually, Kalisto's pretty close to Hinz. This is for 5th place in the LMP2s. This could still switch around. Little Train, another one of those that's had to fight back a little bit after taking his spare car. But as close as he is, within a second, I don't think he's going to be able to get this top 5. Thomas Hinz, a newcomer, though, could have taken a victory. He's probably going to be a little bit disappointed with this 5th place as they cross the line and finish here in France. Back to our leader in the GTEs, the blue Ferrari, the kinetic racing car. Checking through to see if we have any other battles in front of him. Unfortunately, pretty much everybody seems to have dropped away. Actually, let's take a glance, since we've got some time, at the number 3 of Brian Hallett, 15th and last car running. He's not going to be the last to get across the line,
Right.
but he's probably going to be proud of this one. At least I'm proud of him. Way to go, Brian.
No, he stayed out of trouble, man. He was back there pedaling. He didn't cause anybody a hard time. I think that's a great race by him.
I agree. So the BMW art car is going to cross the line and take the checkered flag. Not everybody can brag that they did that. Mark Torres is going to be the first of those GTE cars to do it, though. After 2.5 hours That is Fleischle and Beltrami behind him, though they're not fighting for position. At least Fleischle is going to get through. Kinetic Racing between Corbin and Torres. You got to say, they are going to take a huge haul of points. So as they cross the line, Mark Torres, your winner here in the GTE class.
Eisler a second up on Clement. Here comes Clement.
Yeah, he's close, but not close enough. This is our last battle, it looks like. They come through the forward chicane. It's going to take a major mistake from Christian to give this one up. He's nice and smooth out of it. A podium for the Iceman. Clement should be proud of that third place as well. I believe we are ready to take a break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We ourselves are just as tired as some of these drivers, so we're going to rest our voices. On screen, you're going to see all the upcoming races before we get back with unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Welcome back to Le Mans, France. We just watched the 2.4 hours of Le Mans, round 7 of the majors. And in the end, our winner overall was Brandon Guarcia. Ran a pretty perfect race up there. He had to fend off Jake Feinerman, who certainly battled him at the start. But once the pit stops went through, Jake started to fall off, and he just didn't seem to have it for the 717 car. Travis Warling finished in third, just ahead of Richie Hearn, who went from 10th to 4th place, but didn't get a podium, unfortunately. Ross Banfield took P5, and Jason Fleischle, who had an unusual first stop on the first lap, came back to 6th. He was the last car in the lead lap. Ray Partridge was 7th position, having climbed from 14th, and then 16th to 8th for Kyle Murphy. Michael Thompson finished 9th, with 10th going to David Hanger. Dale Green was 11th, and then Tyler Gilmet was P12. Daniel Johnson unfortunately had a big wreck early, but he still came back to take the checkered flag in 13th. And Eric Smith, unfortunately, with also having problems, takes P14. Bill?
Taking tires on the last stint cost him time, but he made it up on the track. He runs down Mark Schindel, then runs down Kevin O'Keefe, and he gets the win. We're talking about Scott Corbin. Kevin O'Keefe ran hard the first two stints, had to stave in the last one, was good enough to beat Schindel, but not good enough to beat Corbin. He'll have to settle for second. Schindel gets third. Andrew Simmons, who led early, will have to settle for fourth. Thomas Hins in fifth. The rest of the drivers be after him. It's going to be Lionel Calistro, Andrew Oakey, Gustavo Ciafani, Joseph Homan, Brian Bennett, Will Leslie, Rob Powers, Bob Beltrami after that, Gerard Gilbert, Ernie Ludwig, and Dick Mueller. Sean?
All right. The mighty GTEs see Mark Torres, the New Jersey driver, get the win. And the Iceman, Fear the Bird, everybody. Team Bushwick Racing driver Christian Eisler finishes in second on this one. And Trevor Clement going to enjoy a little bit of champagne on the podium with a P3. Liam Quinn comes up just a little bit short, but finishes fourth. A great run by Quinn. Matthew Thunhorst, I would say, makes a pretty darn good recovery drive after missing his pit stall, having to go all the way around, come back in, go into recovery mode there, and they finish P5. Vincent Laviere, well, that's a P6 for him. Wade Hayes, 7th. I'm going to leave it there. Miguel Crudo, not very happy with the way things ended, but Miguel had a good drive today, but he'll finish 8th. Kevin Hill, 9th. Brian Barnes, 10th for him. Jeff Schmeier, 11th. Wayne Hutchinson, a 12th place run. Christopher Sherburne, 13th. Dan Garber, we saw get in trouble and, well, wasn't able to recover from that, unfortunately. He does finish 14th. Brian Halleck with a 15th place run. Sam Adams will wind up 16th after driving that car awful hard early. And then a couple Canadians in the back. Lance Nasir, he'll finish 17th, and Ian Gagnon Renault will finish 18th and 52nd overall in today's wonderful race here in the majors at Le Mans.
Would have thought they'd fare better if they were French Canadian, but guess not the case for them. We do have a driver who fared very well. Brandon Gracia, our winner, is with us today. Congratulations, Brandon. That was a magnificent drive from our perspective.
Thanks. Yeah, that was one of my better drives ever on iRacing.
It seemed like you had some competition at the start. Feinerman was certainly battling you for it, but come the first pit stops, it seemed like you kind of had it under control. Were you mostly just managing the race from there?
No, I was going all out. He was just as quick as me, so if I waited in traffic at all, he was right there.
Yeah, how was traffic out there? Was it pretty easy to deal with the long straights at this track? Is it still something that kept you on your toes?
No, we were talking about after the race how bad it was that basically in the second stint, we had one lap each where we had clean track through the Porsche curves. It was.
I can imagine how intense it is. 52 cars starting this thing, still a lot of them running towards the end. One thing that we were trying to figure out was stats on wins in the majors. How many races have you done so far in the majors, and is this your first victory?
I think this is my second and definitely my first victory.
Well, congratulations on that. This certainly seems to be a track of firsts for a lot of drivers out there. Well done today, Brandon.
Thank you.
I'm going to see our winner up next. We've got our winner down in the LMP2s. Bill's going to talk to Scott Corbin.
Scott, congratulations on the win. Let's start at the pit stop the very first time. Did you take tires on that one too, or did you double stint your tires the first two stints?
Double stinted and meant to triple stint. I did not mean to take tires. That was a total mistake. No, it was an accident. And if you had heard me in Discord right then, let's just say it would be not suitable for work because I was extremely frustrated.
We thought it was the bravest thing to do. Sacrifice all that time. You had you didn't have to worry about fuel because you ran it long to the end so you could race hard. What a surprise. You're going to triple stint the tires. So you got to be pleased with the way things turned out.
Yeah, I'm really pleased. The first lap was a nightmare with the two slowdowns. I think I dropped back to 14th or 15th. And at that point, I was like, I decided to go ahead and do the fuel save in the first stint and just see where I finished, and ran a pretty clean race after that. It was a lot of fun. Me and Mark Schindel were in TeamSpeak together, and we really we were really working hard to try to catch up to Kevin. He ran a good race.
Well, after you got your teammate, then the next thing you had to do was run down O'Keefe, who was saving it a little bit. You didn't make it easier on yourself as you made a couple mistakes when you get close.
Yeah, I did. I do tend to be a little bit mistake prone when the pressure gets on. I'm not great under pressure. I think Kevin may have made a mistake or two too, though, so he helped me out. But But overall, it's about the best that I was ever going to do. So it's fun to finally get to talk to you guys for once.
Yeah, we were thinking this is indeed your first win, correct?
It is absolutely in any broadcasted race. Well, I won a team race a couple of years ago in DGFX, but this is my first solo win for sure.
Yeah, it was good. We were pulling for it, and we hope we didn't jinx you with some commentators' curse there, but you managed to survive. Congratulations on the win. Well deserved.
Thanks. Real quick, if I can, I just want to spot out that if you see on my car, I've got a pink tag that says "Fight Like Sandy." Sandy is my wife. She recently had surgery for breast cancer. She's doing well, but I just want to give her a shout out and let her know that I'm going to dedicate this win to her.
How appropriate. And our thoughts and prayers go out to her as well as she continues to recover. Well done. Congratulations.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Joe?
I think there's a little dust in here, honestly.
Sean? Yeah. I'm the next guy that's got to do an interview. Thanks. I appreciate that. Listen, Mark Torres, man, what a race. Congratulations. We'll get that out of the way. I got to ask you about the open of the race. All right. Now, you started back in 6. You guys were right on top of the HPDs when you got started. Was that planned by design, or did the GT field get going a little quick, or just not give enough space?
Good question. I think we didn't just give them enough room. Somebody complained that there was a little bit too much not driving smoothly at the front of the pack, so maybe there was just some confusion. But yeah, I don't think that was planned. But
well, I mean, the whole first 2 laps of the race for the GTEs was absolutely insane. You guys were doing some really hard racing. What did it feel like to be in the middle of that?
For me, it was cool because Lance and Trevor were just kind of battling it up there, going too wide through a lot of turns, and I was just kind of sitting back, saving fuel and tires, which is pretty much what my plan was for the first stint. So I was taking it easy and calm, but yeah, it looked like a lot of fun going on, and I know my teammates behind me were saying that things were nuts behind them, so I just tried to stay cool and out of that.
Yeah, it was absolute madness. A strong day for Kinetic. I mean, you guys take the win in the HPDs. You get the win here. What was the key to your strategy today? I mean, everybody wants to know why you guys had the edge today.
I think it was just a long time coming. I mean, we've had some tough luck as a team, especially in the majors, it seems like, over the last couple of seasons. So, I'm not surprised, I guess I should say, but it was definitely nice to see everybody put it together.
Well, I'll tell you what, hell of a drive for you, man. We're happy to see you get the win. Know it's starting to get a little late there on the East Coast. How long is it going to take you to go to bed after a win like this? How amped up are you right now?
I still got to watch the Formula One race with my wife. So we're going to celebrate my first solo broadcasted win as actually, I think, second solo broadcasted win. You guys did my first one at the Predator race when they had that series going on. So yeah, happy days over here in Jersey.
Man, listen, so cool. The family that races together stays together, huh? I love that.
Exactly.
Wow. All right, man. Well, go enjoy that race. No spoilers here. We will see you at the next round. Great job.
Thanks guys.
That was our winner in the GTEs,
wow.
Mark Torres. Yeah. And we have our second place driver in the LMP2s, Kevin O'Keefe. Kevin, I think we feel for you. But before we get to what happened at the end, we have to ask, were you saving to get to the end of the race, or were you good on fuel?
No, I was lifting the whole way. I finished with 0.4 pounds of fuel.
Wow.
The plan was perfect. It was, I'm sorry to interrupt. I knew that you could go 13, 13, 14. So the idea was go all out for 2 stints, and then I'm never going to change tires. They might as well be saving on the stint you have no tires. So the plan was perfect. I made too many mistakes in the second split and second stint and didn't exactly run away and hide. The last 5 laps of the second stint, I probably gave away 20 seconds.
That brings me to my next question. How nervous were you seeing that gap coming down? And did you have any plans to try and fend him off with a lap and a half to go and him on your bumper?
Well, I was managing the gap to Swindell, and that's who I was thinking about. And then I saw they were drafting together when he caught up, and then I was like, okay, well maybe they'll fight each other. I didn't realize they were on the same team until hearing these interviews. So yeah, then once he got by him and then really started to close the gap, I was like, all right, I have to go. And then when I started to go, I realized I wasn't going to make it on fuel. So so Scott had it the whole time. I know it looked a little closer on the stream, but he had it the whole time. The only thing I could do was hope he made a mistake.
We know it's probably a little heartbreaking not to get finally get your first majors victory in a pro split. Do you think it's still possible to get another one in another car? Because you certainly seem competitive, both in oval and on road.
I don't think I can get a win on oval. Not with guys like not with the top oval drivers that are here. I mean, we have peak guys in this league, so I don't think I can get a win on oval. So it really depends on the car class for these multi-class road races, because the HPD is my main car. That's what I drive on the normal official races. And, as you guys know, you guys see me on the Autobahn series, and I picked up my pace in that series. So the HPD is my main car. So I thought this was my best chance. So it really depends on what the schedule looks like next year.
Well, we hope the best for you. I think we definitely were kind of wanting to see either you or Corbin win, just knowing that it would be a first win. But commiserations on the second, but still congratulations on a podium.
Yeah, I'm happy for Corbin. As he said, he's made a lot of mistakes and has thrown away a lot of races. So I'm happy that he's able to come through and get one. And thanks to my teammates, including all the guys from Autobahn, this is their setup. And of course, Marcus Ambrose, who's really helped me out on the roadside, increase my pace.
Well, thanks for coming and talking to us, Rutgers. That was Rutgers Kev finishing in second place in the LMP2s. Real quick, Bill, I think we have time for you to talk to Hins, Thomas Hins, who has joined us in the booth.
Picked up a fourth place finish in the LMP2s. Racing up front, you made a mistake. Fifth place finish. Had a little issue, did you, Marcus or Thomas?
Yeah. Hey guys. Random Aussie here. Little issue with LMP1. Just a miscommunication with where we were going. I know I thought it was pretty usual that I was going to go across the right. I thought it was kind of the normal line, and I thought it made it clear enough that's where I was going. But he just kept at it, and tried to get out of the way at the last minute there, as I realized he wasn't going to go left, and unfortunately, it was too late. So bit of a shame, but it's kind of typical for me. I usually have good runs and then I get murdered by people. It's sort of a bit of a thing for me. But anyway, it was a bit of a shame because I was actually I was in that battle for the lead, and I would have been in the same, obviously, boat as Kevin. Fuel was really tight at the end. I was having to save a lot. So it would have been interesting. I would have been in that fight probably, and it could have been an interesting end. But hey, I guess that's how it goes. So pitted obviously got the repairs and came back out and managed to salvage still a top 5, which is still +2. And considering I haven't driven these cars, I don't really drive prototypes much, and I haven't driven these things in a long time. So just to be in the fight at the front and on good pace, I'm pretty happy with that. So I'll take it.
Well, we hope to see a race again in the majors. If you look at the schedule, you're going to join us for another one?
Yeah, well, if I can make them. I do night shift work, so it's always a bit weird and hard to organize everything because it's all the way that all works with that stuff. So we'll see. If I can, I definitely will. I think it's the Indy cars next, which if I could do that, that'd be really cool because they're great fun, and especially around Belle Isle, they're just insanity in a box. So we'll see if I can make them, definitely. So hopefully I'll pop up again.
Outstanding. Good to talk to you. Congratulations on a top 5 finish. We'll see you down the road, Joe.
That was Thomas Hins that we talked to, but that's going to close things up for us tonight. After 2.5 hours of racing and even more of that of broadcasting, I think it's time for a rest. So a big thank you goes out to Mike Willett and his team of people who organized not just this race, but 2 others, the European region and, of course, the international region. Also, a big thank you to the charity, once again, National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Make sure and contribute to them if you get the opportunity, or just take some time to help out. That is nationalmssociety.org. Also, thanks to iRacing for putting us on the IESN. Make sure and go to their YouTube page and subscribe by clicking on the big red button that says so. And you'll get all of the majors in your YouTube feed as each race comes up. Also, a thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts. You can see them listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Amjad, Bill, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media, on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. As was mentioned, going to Detroit for the Indy cars. The new IR18 is over there in 2 weeks' time. That'll be Sunday, June 23rd at 7:45 p.m. Eastern. But we also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.